Tell me that. Try to start. Just make it.
Okay. Well, we're ready to start, and we're gonna ask people to introduce themselves, and we're just gonna go around this way. Go ahead.
Good morning, I'm Peter Goldstein. I work as the Health and Human Services and Housing Supervisor.
Later, bar resident.
Dr. Health and Human Services. Hi, good morning. Suzanne Ernst, Health and Human Services.
Brittany Lane, Aging and Disability Services. Cindy Manabe, Deputy Clerk to the Board. Jeannie Anderson, County Attorney's Office.
Lisa Brodsky, Public Health Director.
Dave Beard. John Ulrich, County Commissioner.
Jody Brennan, Commissioner.
Elmo Commissioner. First Residence, Alos Ministries.
Aaron Davich, Alos Ministries.
Tracy Cervankas, Administration.
Michael Bergstrom, Community Engagement.
Good morning, Kim Malika from Administration.
Hi, Tanya Ward, Behavioral Health and Housing.
And online.
Anyone?
Anyone online?
I wonder if she stepped away.
Went back to sleep.
Literally.
It's 3 a.m. No. Take it away.
Keep this work system. Yeah, so like I said, I'm Chris. This is Aaron. For those of you who we haven't met, we're with Alos Ministries. Our mission at Alos is to help people move from instability into a purpose-driven, independent living. And we don't just do that through putting a roof over their head. That's one thing we do. But we walk with them through the transformation, through the mess. We walk with them and we work with them to try and help them to get to a level where they can be free from their past and independent and stable. So our approach in doing that, like I mentioned, we don't believe that people just need a roof over their head, but they need community and structure and relationship. And our model is extremely relational. So it's going to look different for every single person that we serve based on their past, based on what they've been through. We're going to come alongside of them and help them with whatever it is they need to get them to a level of independence, recovery, and stability. And we do that through housing, employment, mentorship, and accountability. We're not just addressing trauma, addiction, homelessness. Those are, I feel like that's the tip of the iceberg, and we want to address what's hidden underneath the water. What's the reason that they got into the situation they're in? So there's a little bit on the screen here about our 2025 key initiatives. So we focused a lot on building the foundation to scale the work that we're doing. First thing was establishing a centralized location. So we got some office space downtown Shakopee. And it's not just an office space, it's actually a hub for resources for people to come. We've got a therapist that works out of the office. We meet with community members there to just brainstorm how we can all work together to best address the community needs, best serve the community. Last year we started getting donations from Costco. So anything returned to the store, we get about $30,000 in returns each day. And then they donate that to us. So we've got a room up in the office where we stage that, and we can invite people in the program, people outside of the program, people we meet on outreach. They can come up and get just some basic hygiene, pillows, blankets, drinks, food, and then we can also use it at our properties. So we meet people out of there. We have a peer recovery sports specialist, therapist. They both meet people out of there. And that's brings me to the next thing, was that peer recovery sports specialist was something we implemented last year. And that's somebody who's going to come alongside someone with lived experience in addiction, homelessness, trauma. So they come alongside people in the program, and they're going to work with them to develop a case plan. We call it a renewal plan. And they're going to just take each step with them, whether it's getting their license, getting to groups and meetings, working on their budgeting or their family skills. So he's going to come alongside of them and take care of all of that with them. And that just increases accountability, consistency, and it's a day-to-day support that the residents came to expect. All that going on. And at the same time, we're preparing for expanding into 2 new properties. So late last year, we had the opportunity. One of the reasons we brought Aaron on, community director of community engagement, community pastor. So he was a big part in preparing for the expansion that's been happening. You can tell a little bit about your role.
Sure, yeah. Community pastor for people in the community, but then also just trying to develop those partnerships with local churches, businesses, of course, the government, other nonprofits, and try to just build a sense of that director of engagement role, so that developing a sense of partnership. We're better together. And so I used to work a lot with Heart Ministry. Some of you know that. And so just the idea of wraparound care, where you're kind of talking about, like, in the ideal world, I can give an example of that. We went out and did some outreach in the community, which we like to do every week, and just find people that have needs and how can we meet them? How can we care for them? Met, if I can say their names, I think James and Lisa, living down by the river at the time, and they were homeless, and eventually we were able to help bring them into one of the new buildings that we have and provide some wraparound care through Heart Ministry to meet some practical needs that they had, and then to bring them into the housing. And now they're in recovery, and their lives are beginning to turn around. And it's just a wonderful thing to be able to see that wraparound care through partnerships with Heart, through the Fish Network, through Alos, and then just engaging again the local church people that want to care for them. In fact, one of them is meeting with the therapist. Yeah, that was a partnership from Hosanna Church, a woman who had a wonderful counseling ministry, and now is our therapist on Tuesdays, meets with clients, a full slate every Tuesday. Really wonderful.
Yeah, and then something else we got some funding from SHIP. Aaron rolled out this year, teaching a class on prevention. So just a community class open to our residents and to just anyone in the community. So when we meet these people, we can invite them. Topic is how we can move forward with healthy boundaries and prevention from life. Good things. And then it's just a picture up there of our 2 new properties. So we closed on those in February of this year. These are need-based. So there's 7 total apartments. The one on the left that kind of looks like an old hotel. It was an old hotel about 150 years ago. That's what it was built for. So it's pretty cool. It's got some history in the city. But it's 4 apartments in there, 3 apartments in the other one. And this just allows us, we've got men's housing, we've got family housing. This allows us to serve whatever the greatest need is at the time when we meet somebody, having a range of studio. So we got 1 studio all the way up to 3-bedroom apartments. The 3-bedroom apartment is in the middle of the house on the right. It's a very large space. It's currently being completely gutted and renovated. We're going to make it brand new, super nice. And we are leaning towards turning that into our first women's housing. So we'll have a dedicated space to serve women. Right now we serve women with children, but that would be single women. So that's something exciting on the horizon. Yeah, but it's just nice having that piece where we can have a little bit of variety on who we serve.
And these are the 2 like right downtown Chaco.
Right behind O'Brien's, yep. It's kind of nice. It's 2 blocks away from our office space, and then right down in the heart of Shakopee. So yeah, with vision and growth for 2026. So the housing expansion's on there. We prepared for that 2025. We closed on the properties 2026. With those 7 additional properties, brings a lot more people into the program. So we've got a big need to hire caseworkers, which we'll call renewal managers. Similar to what the peer recovery sports specialist does, except kind of under the umbrella of ALOS, with our expectations and our plans being worked into the program with the individuals. And we just believe they need a lot of structure, a lot of support, a lot of relationship, and it's almost it's a daily thing that they need. And with 3 people on the team, it's a little hard to get to that level of daily face-to-face. So that's a big thing we're working on for 2026. I mentioned the Costco donations. So we've got them staged in a small, maybe a 12 by 12 office space. We have another property on the horizon. It's a building right downtown, right next to the Shakopee Brew Hall. It's got 4 apartments upstairs. It's got 2 retail spaces downstairs. In those retail spaces, it's great because upstairs we can serve more families and individuals. Downstairs, create a little extra revenue with a storefront. And then we will have, we can turn it into a larger resource center. So we can bring our Costco donations in there. We do estate sales with our cleaning company. So we can bring in furniture, mattresses, and we can just have a place that people know that they can go to any day of the week to get their needs met. And not just the material needs, but they can come for support, resources, just connection and healing. And then the last thing there is just continuing to build on those community partnerships that Aaron mentioned. And then right here, we've got on the screen just a snapshot of our overall financial picture. So as you know, Scott County made a one-time investment into our family fourplex in 2023. That's where we're able to serve families that are actively in homelessness. That's been full ever since we closed on it. When Scott County purchased that for us, we had 6 individuals in the program. We've now got about 40 individuals in the program. And that growth is just shows that the partnerships with the community, the partnerships that we have with the county are helping, and we're able to serve more people. And then one number I want to highlight on there is $534. So that is what it costs us to serve one person each month. So that is more than half. That's less than half. It's the cost to serve in your average in many supportive housing programs is between $1,000 and $1,400. So even if when we add our 2 staff members, we're still going to be under $1,000 a month per person. And the difference is we're not cycling people through, we're cycling them out of the system, and so it's going to end with them. It's not going to be continued with their children. They're not going to come back again for a second round. They're going to be set free from whatever it is that's held them back. When they're cycled through these programs again and again and again, that cost can get up to about $2,800 a month. So not only is what we're doing working and growing, but it's extremely cost effective at less than $1,000 a month when we're fully staffed. And then just wanted to talk about the fun stuff, the actual people being served. And this is a family. This is the first family that ever came into the fourplex. So he moved in, he was staying in a small hotel room with 1 bed with his 2 kids, and they were all sharing a bed. Asked him what he was most excited about. And I talked to his kids, and what they're most excited about, they were just so excited to have their own beds and their own rooms and just to be able to feel normal. So he came in 2 years, he got employed, he worked through a lot of his tasks that he was holding on to. And then he just graduated. Picture on the right with him with his arm around the lady was about 2 months before his graduation. He's now a property manager for a townhome complex. And he has a townhome that he can call his forever home with his 2 kids. And then another story here. The model we take is housing and employment, mentioned mentorship, employment, all these different avenues we take. So there's 2 people up on the screen there. The one on the left, he came into the program, he went through, had some struggles, and a difference with how we serve people is those struggles didn't get him kicked out of the program. They got him kicked into treatment. After treatment, we took him back and we continued to work with him. He then got hired on about a month ago as our property manager. So he's now actively employed with us. He's a part of the community. He went from almost an addicted to being a leader in the program. And then the middle there is a picture of a single mom who was just, that's her baptism that she just had. And so she came in with her 5-year-old kid, and they were living in their truck. And so we brought her in, we interviewed her, and we're like, no, you're not gonna sleep in your car another night. So we're gonna take you in tonight. We were able to house her. And now she is the manager of our cleaning company. So she's working, getting paid $25 an hour, managing all the jobs. She's been doing that for about 4 months now. She loves it. She joins us in our community prevention nights, joins us at church. It's just a good example. When you come alongside somebody and you just get on their level and relate to them and whatever the support is that we can offer. And good picture of what can happen. So yeah, we thank you all for your partnership, for having us in to share everything that's up to any questions.
Yeah, I just should say, like, the whole idea of breaking those chains, I know it was one of your your slides, whatever, with breaking, the whole idea was, of embarking on some of these things was to, how do we change that conveyor belt that's just cycling, felt like it was the same, just like, didn't we just, well, it was the next generation, like, weren't you, no, that wasn't that. Breaking those trajectories, generational sin or whatever you want to call it,
Yep.
generational bondage is huge and so I love all this stuff. I would love, and I know it's hard to do, you know, we always talk about, okay, somebody went through a program or whatever it was and they graduated. What are they doing 2, 3, 4, 10, 20, and which I know is hard to, you know, start implanting chips. We're probably not gonna
Yeah,
know that, but
that's where we have a different, keeping in the relationship, keeping in the community, and that's what owls means another. So we're equipping them to do again what's been done for them. We're equipping them to do it for another person. So the hope is that they stay in the community, so we can see that 3-4 years down the road, just like the community, the property manager. So we've been in a relationship with him for about 4 years now.
so when you start to see some of this type of change, which, you know, really, I mean, echoes into eternity, and you're doing it when, what'd you say, started with like 5 or 6, now you've got 40, you know, getting that flywheel moving. But that relational life on life, which is always messy, seems like it works. Is that temptation kind of fluttering, like, oh, how do we mass produce this? How do we 5 to 40? How do we go from 400 to 4,000, 40,000, which sometimes is where it gets wrecked, but like, did that come, I'm just curious,
I think
that temptation come fluttered around, and if so, what do you do with that?
the desire to serve more people comes, so I think it's really cool that he mentioned the example of being able to go down by the river and say, hey, can we pray for you? But also, do you want to get sober? Do you want housing? Do you want a new life? Oh, you do? Okay, well, let's go to treatment. And when you're done with treatment, let's get you housed and employed, and let's start that. So that desire to be able to do that, to have more properties, to do that for more people, it's awesome taking referrals, but what if you could just go clean up the streets because you've got the capacity to do that? So that's one desire that is there.
Yeah, and that obviously not more numbers is a bad thing, it just seems like that's something. Can be one of those barriers to just keep what works,
Yeah.
keep it working.
And I'd say one of the tensions we feel is stewarding what we have right now really well and establishing that more fully, which we've done a lot in the past year. At the same time, we have lots of opportunities sort of waiting for on the horizon that are sort of available for us, and we want to say yes to those. Same time, handle this well, so sort of building the plane while you're flying, you know, type of metaphor. But we have a neat thing that's happening right now. We have a generous donor who's doing a $20,000 matching campaign, and so, and that's just for new donors. He's trying to challenge us to expand our donor base to new donors. So for every new donor, he will match that, and that's up to $20,000. So that's going to help in a lot of ways. And we've got some friends who are working on a nice, generous donation for us that would enable us to be able to buy that other property that Chris mentioned with the storefronts and the 4 apartments up above. So we feel like 2026 is going to be a big year. At the same time, we're hoping that this giving campaign enables us to be able to also expand into hiring some renewal managers, at least one this year would be great. So,
It's good.
yeah.
Without your services, what you're doing, it's hard to go from homeless, break out of that cycle of homelessness, and
Right.
probably don't even have the clothes or the
Right.
basic necessities, even if you apply for a job.
It's hard to think about self-actualization. You know, Abraham has those hierarchy of needs when you don't know where you're gonna sleep or what your basic needs are. So if we can take care of some of those things and then have people in the program for roughly 2 years and with that supportive services, it's a real chance to turn things around for an individual or for a family and help them enter into that life of independence and stability and purpose.
And then working with them through the mess is something unique where we try to tell everybody to be completely honest. If you're completely honest, if you messed up, if you're using and you don't want to, it gives us room, it gives us a place to work together. But if they feel like they're gonna be kicked out like they would be in most places, or if there's no one being relational with them, they're gonna hide what they're doing and they're gonna continue in their old ways. If we're like, no, just bring it to the table so we can help. And that actually it works. It shows a lot. We just had somebody, they drank, they've been sober 8 months. They drank, they came clean about it. They came, went to detox, got out of detox, and had a great conversation. The first thing they came in saying was, I messed up, I'm sorry, and I want help. It's like that allows us to continue to work with you. If you come in and try and hide what's happening and just keep it to yourself, there's no blame. It doesn't work. So we try and be really upfront about that at the beginning. This is different. We're gonna enter into the mess with you. Don't keep the mess from us.
So, okay, you're somebody that you find that's homeless, whether rigor or whatever, does, if that person walked into the county, they'd probably access services of some kind. If they walk into Alice, are they able to get some county funding for their situation, even though they're part of Alice, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think depending upon what the service need is, I would assume Alice can certainly connect with and probably has with mental health, other housing resources, other social services. So I think there's probably a reciprocal piece, right? If we've got someone who's in need, we may refer to Alice or vice versa for service needs. Because they're connected with Alice wouldn't prohibit them from accessing county services.
And are you really all aware of all the different services? For a client.
Yep. So we've worked with the county on housing support, worked with Peter a lot, and he's been great in implementing that. And that helps us to take people from nothing and house them because we need to cover the bills. So getting rent paid through housing support has been hugely beneficial for us. And then in that process, they also get on, they get their EBT and their cash assistance. And we strongly encourage, like, we've seen it, oh, I don't want to start working because my benefits are taken away. It's like, no, wouldn't you rather work, pay what your benefits are paying, and have money left in the bank? Like, that's what we want. We don't want you on this forever, but it's a great bridge to get you in the door.
That's one of those things.
Benefits to,
No, please.
like they need their, MA to get into treatment.
Yep.
And, your peer specialist, right? You guys work with,
Yep, that goes through insurance.
yeah, so that's really helpful.
Yep.
To have that connection. That's gonna help them. Long term.
But that reality is reality. And many of the things that come and go through this place and other places, like, okay, I have this, whatever it is, housing, cash on a car, or whatever. Oh, but if I achieve this, then I lose that. And it's just that it's a paradigm shift. Don't necessarily like that phrase, but that this is meant for a stepping stone to other things, not to like.
Right. And don't look at it as a loss. That's we had a conversation. Guy got a full-time job. He's fully employed. He's losing his benefits and he's upset. And he's like, well, I'm not going to work then. I'm going to work less. I'm like, no, in your job, you're going to make more. All of that. And you're going to have money in the bank. That's a good thing. You're not losing anything. You're gaining more financial stability.
And work gives a sense of community, and that's what I appreciate about your model, is that, in recovery, it's really hard for folks to envision a different world, and they have to replace old habits, old groups, old routines with something, and work is such a meaningful thing for people.
Right.
And so it's not even more, about like making money, but it really is a replacement behavior. And that's just, I appreciate how you highlight that in your model.
Yes, gives them a sense of purpose, reason to get up and, it's not the main purpose, but it's definitely a purpose to do well at what you do every single day in the community.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions?
I know you were, we gave you a cannabis substance use prevention grant.
Yes.
To start, kind of a pilot related to prevention.
Yep.
Is there, if that works out, I'm pretty excited about that. And if that works out, do you plan to expand it to your other locations as well?
Yeah, so we had good feedback where they wanted us to continue it year round because we're doing it out of Prairie Point so that the residents there can access. And is there anything you want to say about how that's? Aaron,
Yeah,
been leading that
it's
group?
been really positive, and it's folks from Prairie Point, from Hollows, I think a couple people have heard about it through Fish.
AA and NA, we've got flyers that.
Yep, the Haven.
printed there.
And so, yeah, it's been wonderful, and we're doing the topic of boundaries, which is wonderful for anybody, whether in fiction or not. And we start with a meal. Thanks again to the grant. People love that. And then it's a time of connecting communion around the meal. Then we have the lesson through the boundaries lesson, and then time in groups afterwards. And we've got, that's where the partnerships with, like we had last night, a small group from Hosanna Church, old ladies watching the kids. And what's great about Prairie Point, they got that community room, kitchen's right there adjacent to it. And then so is the kids space with an outside playground right there. It's kind of a nice little, it's a perfect spot. So a lot of positive feedback about that. And they said, they said that Beacon Hill, I think, is it Beacon or Beacon Hill? Whoever.
Beacon Interfaith.
Yeah, they would love if that kind of program could happen essentially all year. I said, well, we'd love to do it, so anyway, so if there's more grants available, we'd love to keep doing it.
Yeah, and it's a great way to create opportunity. We talk about equipping the people in the program to do another time what's been done for them, but beyond that, equipping the community members. So a lot of people have good heart and want to serve, but that's not the kind of employment they're in. That's not what they do day to day. It's like, here's a great opportunity. You come watch some kids during a meeting and you can feel that like you can serve and you can meet the needs of the community. So.
Thank you. Very good presentation. Thank you for your good work.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. We have a bunch. This, we got one. We have one.
Well, yeah, did this got a round, right? There's not a round.
Oh, you're in the round robin?
I've seen it two ways, so I'm not sure.
Let me double check.
Well, let's do the round robin now. No, we didn't forget it. Right. Let's do the round robin.
Yes, right now is round robin. I
Yes,
apologize if I.
okay, so it's round robin. You got anything for round robin there, Mr. Wall?
Yeah, maybe we should get rid of the residence report. Do we need to do it?
That's that grant, right? There's some grant.
What'd you spend on it? Yes.
I have to look,
Is
it's
it
less,
a lot or a half?
it's more, we want to provide, it's the tie between your data and your strategic plan, but no, we do not have to do it. We use the reporting money that we get from the finance.
Yep.
So the question would be I mean, obviously it's digital too. So is that the bigger issue? Are you saying like, don't even have a,
Digital is just fine, yeah. They says that last one, in effect, email it.
have the data? Cause I know, I don't get as many, well, I don't get a lot of feedback on it, but normally when I do, it's more positive than negative. And I know you got brought up at the township meeting and what isn't this the one where it's like, maybe I'm confusing the grant where it's like 25 grand or 30 grand state gives to, and I know it takes more than that to compile it, but we're compiling some of this stuff anyway for presentations like this. Maybe not in that format. So the 25, what is that number, 20?
It's like $25,000 we get for the annual.
It's just taxpayer money, I get that, I pay taxes. But if we were to do it digitally, we'd just save the postage rate and printing.
For sure.
We still use that grant for compiling it, even if we're not mailing it.
For sure. There's
Okay.
no direction in what we've done. We've chosen to use it in that manner to share some of those results with folks.
Yeah. That is
I know that a lot of people are concerned about no longer having newspapers, and I know that the scene they like, the
Yeah.
people I talk to, they like the scene, and I think that this is kind of an exception.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, we're already an invisible layer of government in many respects with people. And what does the county commissioner do? But it's unaware of that, and so to be able to communicate what the county does, especially since there is no newspapers, I think it's very important. Now, if you lose, I don't know, you lose a lot by going just digital, I don't know the answer to that, but I think the report itself is important here.
Could we incorporate that report within the scene?
You know, we tried to do that. It was not as successful. This was supposed to be really outcomes and data and programs that you were trying to show from your strategic, right? It wasn't an advertisement of programs or those types of things. So, you know, when I get comments on it, it's like Commissioner Beer, they're usually positive on this. And it's the only one I receive comments on. I don't hear on the scene very often at all, unless I write some emotional column and then I hear from people. So I usually hear, and it's positive, and it's been from different people with, you know, sometimes they're elected folks and sometimes they're just residents who make a comment that a program impacted them. And they actually took the time to say something, but it's not something we have to do. We certainly could discuss it. We have time to discuss it. It's not like we're making a decision to do it tomorrow either.
So I'd like to know the money that was put into it.
This
And
year,
then,
And also the staff time. I mean, I know we do a lot of this data collection and things, but I do feel like it's a significant lift for folks. So I think getting that information would help. You all know my district. I hear mostly, why are we doing it? So, but on the other hand, I do hear good comments about the scene. So maybe it's just something to look at and think about. I'm glad we have time to figure out what we want to do.
Printing and postage was 51,000.
It was?
Yeah. Sewell Printing got the contract with New Prague, and if you factor that across the households, it's about 82 cents a copy. That does not include all the staff time that went into it.
I mean, so yeah, so there's there was talking about before that we're tracking the data. It's the format that it's. So we're tracking data, we're monitoring our own.
Sure, it's people like Lisa who edit and write, it's people like Sydney who do some of the graphics and put it into play. Katie works on it, Michael's probably worked on it. It's the editing and the writing that they put into it.
so a question, you know, we're so far been considering the value to the public. What is the value of it to staff? But obviously staff should see it, right?
I would hope they do.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're living it.
I mean, does it kind of keep some of the elements of the vision of what the county's doing before the staff? Is it valuable that way to staff? Other topics? Mr. Brennan?
No.
Yeah, I have one, this is probably been unpopular, let's say. Over the last year or more, I've stopped into employee relations on a few different questions. I'm slow to figure this out. Persons or persons I need to talk to are never there. Then I learned that they're working from home. And, so it triggers a thought. I think at some point, the board needs to hear an analysis of how many people are working from home? What's the percentage of the time they're working from home? How do you monitor productivity from working at home? Do we have a requirement of working any certain amount of days in the office, even if they're working from home? And in some places say, you gotta be in the office 2 times a week or 3 times a week or whatever it is. It's just concerning in employer relations, which you would think anybody needs to be on site to interact with employees. And then I'm hearing that a high percentage of that office works from home. I don't know if I'm hearing correctly or not, but I think at some point there needs to be an analysis of work from home versus work in the office and reports of the day. You know, for example, if we said Just right now, let's drop everything and have, Leslie take us on a tour of the offices throughout the county. I think we'd be shocked at how many people are not here in the building. But I don't know if that's true or not, but I think we probably would be.
I think it's different in different departments, right? If you're in customer service or highway maintenance, you're obviously here. If you're the front counter staff, you're here. If you're in the mental health center, you're probably here or out working with clients, right? And so it really depends on which division and department you're in. We have some departments that require 2 or 3 days in the office and they can work remotely others. We have others like assessing, which allow them to work remote because they go right out into the field and they don't spend time traveling. And so, you know, we could give you a thorough analysis like on assessing. The recorder's office is mostly in. So it depends which department you're in and
Well,
what
the
the type
problem
of work they're doing.
Probably for me is, I have no idea. You know, so it would be good to have an idea.
Yeah, we could provide it.
I mean, you know, I don't know if that's any issue or problem or not. I just don't have any idea. Yeah.
It's not been an issue. That's why we haven't, I think, had to bring anything forward. For the
Yeah.
most part, I
Yeah.
think people are working, we're being productive, we're getting work done. I think the data and the results show that. And it's really been up to the supervisors and managers to make that decision on the best way their departments run.
Okay. Your turn.
Is there an update on insurance? You know? Just since we got time.
Well, we're planning on bringing that back on May, was it the 19th, 14 days from today. And having a discussion on responding to information, providing a recommendation. I think there's some timeline concerns we have to work through with Workday and being able to have it done. So I think we're working through all of that to bring it back to you. I don't have anything today. I'm
Yeah,
prepared.
no, I just,
Well, you triggered something for me to comment on that. I was surprised when we had our joint meeting with Carver and then with Dakota, how little we talked about it. The idea that either one of those are imminently interested or in joining a pool seems distant, not immediate, not soon, especially Dakota County. I mean, it's like, we just really reported the idea. I don't think the county board there is anywhere, you know, on the discussion or debate about it or whatever. But it seemed lightly discussed at both board meetings. County, combined.
yeah, I think with the Carver one, you know, whenever that was several months ago, like, I've had conversations with a couple of commissioners and it seems more real and potential. That's what excites me is because pools need numbers, feels like. Yeah, and the Dakota County, yeah, that was sort of my takeaway is that, yeah, like, would they be 27? Probably not. I don't know that,
We
but
knew that for
Yeah.
Dakota County going in,
Yeah.
right? It was to see what would the impact be, what would it look like? And they're not for 27.
Yeah.
I think Carver County is going to do the feasibility study continuation for their administrator.
yeah.
We have to wait and see their official.
Well, and like, yeah, I just had conversations, not, you know, different meetings or whatever you wanna call it, that there seems to be. And I wanted to categorize or mislabel, but some, excitement over this potential. That's my takeaway, but that was not, yeah, in our joint meeting was not a big part of it. But,
Well, we met with Carver back in January, so we had a meeting,
yeah,
you know, that was starting our timeline. And Dakota, we knew, so
Yeah.
it was more, we've done this, we're looking at it.
well, when we did the, whatever we're calling the last study with the numbers, Dakota. We put them in there because it's like, well, why not? We're working together, we're talking, it wasn't a big deal to add that. And they have huge numbers or much bigger numbers, but. But the one that seems like it really gets us over the hump or whatever is. Carver.
Yeah, I think that's part of the, yeah, January, we met with them, but the date of us making a decision certain Originally it was in January. And it got put back to May. In fact, we were gonna make a decision in January. We were pushed by the cities. Then all of a sudden, we got 4 or 5 letters saying, don't, extend it to May or don't decide then. But so the idea that we would decide something in the big unknown of Carver, either whether it was January or May, we're not gonna know in May either. Next week, when we can, when our next, May is the 19th, yeah, the 19th, we're not gonna know what Carver that either.
Yeah, it's possible. But it seems like on this topic, the Gallagher relationship has been better, with the transition. Not that it was necessarily bad, it was just transition.
Right, I mean,
Transition,
you had a
that's like that.
transition with Gallagher, you had a transition with our benefits manager. So you had
Yeah.
big changes going on at the same time, right? Because Rhonda's retirement was a big deal for benefits in Scott County.
Attorney, there was some, it's just like, yeah, I mean, like what Dakota was talking about, any race we're set out to do, there's gonna be hurdles along the way. It's a matter of how high are you gonna be. Like even a lot of these people on this list today, they weren't necessarily on the list, 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago. And these are things that we've embarked on that seem to be bearing some fruit, but didn't. We're not without a few bumps or floods or broken pipes along the way. Here we are. But yeah, I don't know where that's gonna go. I have had conversations with folks across the river. Cause on all kinds of different things, not just this, all kinds of things about how do we do things differently? How do we do things better? How do we do things together? What makes sense? Economies of scale, we're all getting squeezed and like our property taxpayers are feeling it, have been feeling it. And this is just one of those things that might have some potential.
I don't know if you talked to, but I texted work friends about this, and he's chair, right?
Yeah.
Said, I don't know, I'll have to check with staff,
Yeah.
so. Anyhow,
Mr. Brecky, do you have anything?
I would just add on to what John said about remote work. I feel like whatever we're doing is working. I like how it's dependent a bit on the department and the supervisor, but that information will be helpful because I think sometimes I have folks who ask me, what percentage of county employees are working from home, and I just have no basis to say. And I think it's just important to whatever facts we get to show how many county employees aren't necessarily in the office, but they're also not working from home, like all of our assessors or our folks who are doing things out at family resource centers or libraries. I think I don't want people just sitting at a desk if they can be out working with people. So whatever data is gathered, if we can make sure we note that, that would be helpful. I don't think I have any new things right now, but thank you.
all right. End of round robin. And we don't start till 11.
Yep, you got 20 minutes.
I think we want to touch on this.
11 o'clock is our time.
Yeah.
Hey, you ready? You've been missing Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, let's start with the introductions. So if you start, just go on this one.
Yeah, Jody Brennan, Scott County.
I'm Commissioner.
Kelly Brown from ProAct.
I'm Doug Cowles, also from ProAct.
Anna Shields, ProAct.
Judy Foster Lefkin from ProAct. I am Tracy Cervenka from Administration.
Michael Bergstrom, Community Engagement. I'm Brad Davis, Physical Development.
Hi, Tanya Ward, Behavioral Health and Housing. I think 0 and
Later about, where's it?
Arbella Health and Human Services. Hi, good morning. Suzanne Arnson, Health and Human Services.
Brittany Ringer, Aging and Disability Services. Sydney Manabe, Deputy Clerk to the Board.
Lisa Fuller, Public Affairs, Scott County.
Sean Holman, Scott County, and by Commissioner Breckman.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm missing you there today. Good to see you, though.
All right, she's NACO conference.
Okay,
So go ahead.
perfect. Well, again, my name is Judy Foster Lufkin. I'm the president and CEO of ProAct. And really happy to be with you today. Little bit on my background. I was born and raised in Oregon and started my trek in the disability community in Missouri, at St. Charles, Missouri in 2003. And I applied for a job there because it was close to my house. And thought that would be the thing to do and worked there in a residential facility, very large residential facility for about 6 years, and day one hooked. Love the difference that we make in people's lives with disabilities, but I also love the difference that I see in the people that work with them. So very honored to be a part of ProAct. Started here in June of 2020, height of COVID, not necessarily a good entrance, but you know, we've muddled through. And I love being an advocate for the people that we serve. For those that, there are many that cannot speak for themselves. So we feel very, very strongly about the work that we do and the quality of services we provide. And I'm going to turn it over to Ally to give a little spiel on herself.
Myself. Y'all don't like talking about ourselves, right? But I'm the program manager at the Day Support Services Program for ProAct here in Shakopee, where I probably have served for 24 years in this program. Prior to that, 16 years with New Options, was part of Scott County. In 2018, ProAct acquired us and from Scott County, and at that time we celebrated 50 years of the program's service. So that was quite an accomplishment. The transition to ProAct brought significant change and naturally created uncertainty among the families. As the future felt unknown and change is always challenging, right? But ProAct welcomed our team and our individuals we serve with open arms and provided new opportunities for growth and continued the high quality of services that we provide today. So while my time at ProAct and New Options spans 24 years, I know I look way younger than that. I've been in the field about 29 years. I'm beginning my career at a residential facility in college. So my passion for supporting individuals and helping them thrive has, you know, been my passion. So I'll pass it on to Anna.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Shields, and I am the program director for our employment services and our individualized home support services. I've been with ProAct a total of 23 years and have over 27 years of experience in the field as well. My work in the field has included residential support, as well as working at a county level in public assistance programs, including medical assistance, waiver eligibility, and ongoing case management. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I've spent my career focused on supporting people to live and work as independently as possible. And I'm always glad to connect with partners in the community who share that same commitment. Thank you for having us. I'll turn it over to Doug Cowell.
Hello, everyone. I am the program director for Day Support Services at ProAct. So we have Day Support Services at all 4 of our sites in Eagan, Shakopee, and Red Wing, and we have one in Wisconsin as well. I started working at ProAct in 2000, so I'm up to about 26 years now, and like I always said, she looks younger. You probably think I look older than how long I've actually been. But and you know, just but to say some of the same things that these folks have said. I mean, we all probably didn't start in our job thinking this is what we're going to do for our whole life, but once you start working with our participants, it's hard to get away. So I'm happy to be here, and that's it for our introductions. I will hand back out to Judy.
So I'm just going to give just a little bit of overview of ProAct as a whole nonprofit organization with our 4 sites that Doug mentioned. We're currently serving over 700 people, and we provide how many hours, Doug? Almost 50,000 hours
50,000
a month to people at our site with services. But to focus on Shakopee, 25 was a big year here. We purchased the old Open Systems building over on Beans Lake Road. Moving just 2 doors down, leaving Southwest Metro. And that was quite a quest, looking for something that would be big enough and laid out well enough. We did a lot of looking around in the area. Little bit of a time of upheaval for us, and but with a lot of meetings. Scott County, Barb was very instrumental in helping us to find some things, and we appreciate that. And the CDA group, Michael, who was there, has been very helpful. And so we really appreciate the support, the partnership, and wanting PROACT to stay in the area. We couldn't, as I said, it was hard to find something big enough to hold us, so we were looking a little bit outside, but we love Shakopee and the support that we get. So we bought the building. We moved in January of 26, took us about 6 months to get it orchestrated. It had been empty for 5 years. So there was some little bit of cleanup and work that needed to be done. But we were able to get in there in 6 months, which I think was pretty good. And then in April, we had our open house that we had over 200 people coming in and out of PROACT, and a lot of families, participants, the mayor, we got a day named after us, so we're excited about that. Chamber, council members, commissioners, representation from Amy Klobuchar's office came. And so it was really a highlight for us to be able to show off our new space, which we absolutely love. We've made new friends along the way and continue to develop those relationships. For PROACT, we operate overall with a revenue budget of about 14 million. Our largest expense, of course, being staffing, because we are a people service. It's about 65% of our overall budget. Now with purchasing the building in Shakopee, now we own all 4 of our sites. And we're happy about that because moving is tough on folks. Our revenue that we get is about 98% governmental, whether it is federal, state, county. We get grants, lots of things that apply on the federal. And of course, funding is right now a little bit frightening in the Department of Human Services. We have this morning heard that a new commissioner had been appointed, so that's our 3rd one in a year. It's troubling. We're supposed to receive an increase back in January, and of course, with all the fraud, waste, and abuse, of which I will assure you we have tremendous internal controls in place. Nobody wants to be on the news, so we're very, very tight about that. But those increases have not taken place. We're working on a remediation plan. But it's tough. This is a tough industry to be in right now with all the political upheaval. And so we are delighted to be as stable as we are. PROACT has been around New Options for over 50 years, PROACT over 50. Red Wing celebrated their 50 years in a merger that we took over 20 some years ago. So we have longevity and a lot of experience in working with people in the rural areas. Currently, we have employed about 150 staff, but Shakopee has about 30 of those, 160. And we hope to grow our program into the space that we have acquired, and we're super excited about that. And Allie is going to give you a little bit more insight into programming.
Yes, so again, our Day Support Services program in Shakopee offers enrichment programming for adults with physical, intellectual, mental disabilities. We support participants who need total assistance care to those who are more independent through a variety of classes that we offer, include leisure clubs, essential life skills, sciences in our world, crafting and games, and arts and communication. So as you know, we have a beautiful new home that we love, which brings many more opportunities that we can incorporate into our everyday, which we have a gym and a game room. The gym offers a variety of space for us to have games inside with basketball, live, big, huge, giant Jenga, Sports with Tom, large group activities, ice cream socials, and other dances, and I don't know, we do so much in that gym, it's just lovely. Our game room also is designated for smaller group table games, puzzles, small group activities, but it also has a patio off where we're looking forward to as it gets nice, as it's cool today. Lots of lunches and patio parties and parking lot parties that we'll have, so we're looking forward to that. Community involvement is also key to our program. We volunteer at Feed My Starving Children. We're always collecting food for the cat food shelf. We also go into our community. They love to be part of the community. They go to libraries, coffee shops, movies, parks, restaurants, the community center. So we'd love to get them out and use the community as well. Our program benefits from dedicated volunteers, including regular visitors from the Scott County Read Mobile, Karen and Bob, who has volunteered with us for over 20 years. We also partnership with organizations like Climb Theater, Minnesota Valley Electric Corporation, or Cooperative, sorry, Three Rivers Park District, and our new one will be the Academies of Shakopee. So our program operates Monday through Friday, serving about 128 current participants in center, and they attend 3 to 5 days a week. In anywhere between the hours of 7:15 and 3 o'clock. So we also partner with many safe and reliable transportation services daily. Some of those are TransitLink, Metro Moves, Metro Mobility, Freedom Transportation, Hands of Compassion, and Edwards Ride Care. So as we grow in participant numbers, we will continue to look for staff members and also welcome new staff members to help the participants transition to that. We are grateful for the support that PROACT has given us and also Scott County as we continue to grow and expand our offerings, keeping us busy with excitement. If participants do choose to explore employment services, and employment specialists assist them with that. Between job exploration and development, and Anna Shields can tell you more about the employment opportunities.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I'll touch on our employment services and happy to answer any questions when we get to that area. So in Scott County, we are currently supporting about 32 individuals in their independent employment. And this is funded through a kind of a mixture of different avenues between waiver funded services, extended employment. We have a contract with vocational rehabilitation services. So there's a variety of different funding sources for individuals to get hooked in with services. We also have a dedicated employment support case coordinator based out of Shakopee who helps to coordinate these services. The people that we support who are working in a variety of positions throughout Scott County, in the community, in cities like Shakopee, Prior Lake, New Prague, Savage, and Belle Plaine. And as I mentioned, have a variety of different local jobs that they are employed with. We've also seen an increase in referrals from individuals who are interested in learning about work, kind of exploring that and making a decision on if employment is something that they would like to explore at this time. So we help with that service, and then we help them to plan for that once they have determined that they are interested in working, help them plan for a job. So this increase in employment services has been really great to see. And so we are taking steps to meet that need. Some of the employers that we currently partner with include Lunds and Byerly's, Doggy Doos, FedEx, Paradise Car Wash, Sanmar, USPS, Cub Foods, Costco, and Valley Sports. That's just a few of them here in Scott County. We're also proud of several employer partners who are really leading the way in inclusive hiring in Scott County. Valley Sports and Shakopee, Scott Equipment, and Paradise Car Wash were all nominated by PROACT for Employer of the Year in 2025. And were recognized by the Dakota Scott Workforce Development Board for their commitment to inclusive employment. Looking ahead to this next year, Proact Shakopee, as I mentioned, we're seeing an increase in referrals for employment services, really focusing on the exploration and planning. So in response, one of our key priorities for 2026 is strategic planning to ensure we are meeting growing community needs. This includes adding an employment specialist position in Shakopee to support the continued growth. Another priority is ongoing business development and strengthening our employer partnerships. And we're fortunate already to have strong staff relationships throughout Scott County. And we see those connections as a foundation for expanding our exploration services, planning, person-centered services, and job placement opportunities. We're also exploring the expansion of more intensive employment support services, recognizing that this is needed for many individuals who do want competitive and integrated employment. And this includes exploring one-to-one job coaching services. This could include hiring a support staff that is already familiar to the individual, which can help promote consistency, comfort, and long-term success in employment. In addition, Proact is exploring grant opportunities to further support capacity building for employment services. This will build on successful initiatives like the DEED Transformative Career Pathway Capacity Building Grant in Goodhue County, which focuses on rural areas, providing employment services for capacity building in underserved areas. This has really helped us expand services and strengthen supports in rural areas, and excited to see what we can help to bring that to Scott County and more rural areas. So I will now pass it over to Doug to kind of wrap things up.
So you're able to hear about all the programs at Proact and specifically at Shakopee from Ally and Anna. So I'll just wrap things up and we can open up the floor to questions or comments. One quick note is that when we did learn we had to move out of the Southwest Metro building, that was disappointing because we loved our space and it worked really well for us. And so when we started to look around, we had to really expand into the metro area to find the right space for it. But what we kept coming back to is how much we loved Shakopee and how much we love Scott County and all the partnerships that we had here. So we're just so happy that we were able to stay in the same area. That's really worked out well for us. And then I'd just like to add that we passed out the blue folders, and so obviously we didn't talk about everything that we have at Proact. So please feel free to read those. It has our contact information as well if you have any other questions afterwards. But beyond that, we appreciate getting the time to speak to you. Thanks for having us, and I'd like to open it up for questions and comments.
All right, questions or comments?
Yeah, I thank you for being here today. I know that Proact is a really good organization. I think couple of my concerns are work and work availability. And I know that you used to have a center-based program and you no longer do that. And I know that some people are getting not able to go out in the community because there's not the staff that backs them up. So what are you doing to increase the number of jobs that are available for people? And how do you get more people out in the community to work?
Mm-hmm. Well, and we have seen that those individuals expressing that they want to get out and work, learn about work planning. So we have seen an increase in referrals. And so we are addressing that right now and planning on opening up an additional position for an employment specialist to work with individuals. And then we just hope to continue to grow. It's really an exciting opportunity with our new space and seeing that, that desire, that interest in working in the community. So we are actively working on hiring and meeting those needs of individuals. And then, as I touched on a little bit, as we know, the supports post-hire are so important. So what can we do? We recognize that it's a need. And so how do we meet the needs of the individuals that need more intensive supports once they are employed? So we're exploring options with that as well.
So do you have a plan around that at this point or, because I think that's been worked on for a few years, like how did we get the people, hired that would work alongside of somebody to?
Right, right. And we do, so one thing that I'm interested in exploring further is identifying who's already in their circle. And ProAct is working on developing a position that we could, someone that is already familiar to the individual to hire them on to provide those ongoing job supports. That would be one kind of solution to explore. Is this a sustainable option? Because yeah, one-to-one job coaching for, you know, various shifts is challenging. That is challenging for many providers, but it is a need. And so how do we work through those challenges? And that's an idea that we are currently exploring.
Okay.
Mhm.
You had a waiting list at some point in Shakopee. Is that still a high waiting list of people that want to get into ProAct? And are there a number of people that aren't being served?
The day support services now. And we have a list, but we are also accepting, we always take it as an individual, case by case, you know, what is the supervision level? What is the personal care that they need? If they have, you know, from their behaviors to their cares, we look at them as an individual and if we're a good fit for them. So our list has dwindled as we're growing and moving into our new space. It is dwindling, so we're happy to report that.
Okay.
Other comments or questions?
I would just say, I came online here in 2016 when everything was kind of moving and grooving back in those days. Right, for all the right reasons, right? It was a big deal. And people launched a Southwest Intermediate and then now this was like, oh, no. But it's been so well done. That should be a good sign. And it's a big deal. It's really, really big deal. It's a really big deal. So yeah, now you own that and so hopefully you're there for the duration and it's nice that they left you all their furniture. Maybe not. Sometimes that's a blessing, sometimes it hurts, but it's great to be over there to help open that up.
So the owner kindly donated all of that, but we have been able to utilize, oh my God, there had to have been 200 cubicles.
Yeah.
It was like a sea of cubicles. And we have been able to utilize that in pretty much all of our locations from building what we
Oh,
did in
yeah.
Shakopee with the bathrooms to desks to office areas. So we have been able to utilize pretty much everything was there except a few things in the warehouse that pertain to assembly of the books and the training materials. But Ally got to be the marketplace seller.
Oh, nice.
And we were able to move some of those things, but we were able to utilize pretty much everything that was left, so
Nice bonus.
it's good.
Yeah, I would just recognize too, like you guys have really navigated these of just all kinds of, I think, changes and challenges over the last few years. And I really enjoyed going through the open house and I thought it was really amazing. Like we think about like the opportunity for growth, the opportunity for just different spaces for people to experience their day and look about that differently. And so I think well done after, especially the last probably 18 months of maybe not knowing where everything was going to land. I think your place is beautiful. So
Love it. Thank you.
Barbara, I got a quick question, like the SILS of 85% state. It's down 100,000 what is that based on and why does that look like that?
Brittany, do you want to talk a little more about that?
Sure. I was just looking at that yesterday. So the 85%, that's a state allocation, what they're basing that on. This is just for SILS that we're talking about. So the semi-independent living supports. 85% from year to year is based on what did we actually use the prior year? Did we use the full 85% allocation? Or do we use something else? So they look at that and carry it over plus whatever else was unallocated across the state. Then they reallocate that or distribute it to each county.
So our use was actually down then at some point, because that's what, it was a previous year allocation, all right?
Any more? Commissioner Brecky, do you have something?
Oh, I just want to thank these folks for being here and for really expanding into Scott County and being open to continue to do that, because the service is important for these residents. And I think especially as we look at the aging of the population, we'll see more folks who become senior citizens with disabilities, and PROACT services will be even more important in their lives. So thanks for being here. Appreciate the partnership. Really appreciate being able to just find ways to connect PROACT to the Scott County community better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
And wait, you guys can find your way out, because there's a shortcut, take a right, honestly.
Breadcrumbs, right?
Well, if you take a right, you're gonna.
Thank you.
Oh, there's a.
In the room. What do you got?
Oh, one of those. Yeah, how so? No, say everything gets done.
But if you want to go through this is the forward button, right?
Sure.
Just need a second to regroup. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get settled? You're very good.
Man, I don't know about it.
Again, let's have these call answer.
Oh, yeah.
Check with somebody.
Bet you would. Bet you would.
Oh, that's right, Minnesota.
That's right.
You know, we check the state here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with her coming in, that's right.
Like, used to be a dime.
Those are.
But now the actual food.
Yeah,
that was his.
Yeah.
That's somehow he got it. I don't think.
No, I was like, it was one.
Well, the old. No, it's got. That's just like. Oh,
Go ahead. Go to the fourth.
She's got.
That's
And I. And there was this. Probably nothing.
But
I just thought we. I know.
That makes sense. Oh.
Sometimes you don't speak out. It's like a hurt. Kind of flush her out.
Yeah.
Like, it's very. I don't think. It's sort of looks like.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep. There you go. Let's do it.
All right.
Spin the wheel.
We're gonna go around and introduce, now Sydney start us off and go that way.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sue Manabe, and I'm the deputy clerk to the board. Good morning. I'm Brittany Lane. I work in Aging and Disability Services.
Good morning, Suzanne Arnson with Health and Human Services.
Barb Dahl, Health and Human Services.
Lloyd Durbaugh, resident.
Hi there, Tanya Ward, Behavioral Health and Housing. It's nice to see you. Gee, I know, actually.
Hello, I'm Brad Davis, Physical Development there at Scott.
Good morning, I'm Katie Mollett, working in administration for the county.
Good morning, Michael Bergstrom, community engagement.
I am Tracy Sterbank. I work in administration as well.
And I'm, oh no, what do you guys, listen, let you finish.
No,
Well, my name is Sarah Cotton. I'm the program manager for the Scott County Crisis and Recovery Center.
And my name is John Adams. I am the chief clinical officer.
I'm a commissioner.
Jody Brennan, Commissioner.
Leslie Vermillion, administration.
John Ulrich, Commissioner,
Dave Beard, commissioner.
Lisa Color, Public Affairs.
and online.
Good morning, Barb Weckman Brecky, Scott County Commissioner.
Go take it away.
Okay, again, my name is John Adams. I'm the chief clinical officer at Guild. And for those of you who don't know, Guild is a nonprofit organization to meet the mental health needs of our clients that are anywhere along the continuum of care. So they could be unhoused to stable, but still wanting access to services. So whatever that means, we provide services. And before we talk about the collaboration that we have with Scott County, I'd kind of like to talk to you about our organizational focus, just so you can have the bigger picture, and hopefully you'll be able to see a through line of how our organizational focuses impact these programs that we're serving. So part of our annual plan is broken down into 4 pillars. The first is risk mitigation, which is accurate and timely documentation, quality of services, and contractual obligations. So that's one focus. The second focus is stewardship of resources. So are we managing resources appropriately, efficiently, and humanely? Okay. The third pillar is training and onboarding, ensuring our staff has the tools to provide quality services now and ongoing. So continuously evaluating the kind of trainings that we provide the staff and ensure that they have that in order to provide the services for the clients. And the last one is community program expansion. So identifying where we can partner or expand our services within the community. Okay. We're looking to be the 2 elements that we kind of always focus on is looking to be the provider of choice for clients and then the employer of choice for staff. As we all know, mental health impacts us all. We're not only looking at how we're not only looking at providing the services, but we're looking at providing the services with quality. Okay. So. Let's see. Perfect. The first program that we want to talk about, Sarah supports, and it is the Residential and Crisis Service.
So again, my name is Sarah. I just joined as the program manager in January, but I've been with Guild working on the ACT team for several years, about 3 years now. So I'm very excited to be working in this capacity. There's a lot of similarities. And so as you can see, you know, what is an IRTS facility? What is the crisis stabilization? How do we know the difference between the two? And just to kind of give it a little bit of a breakdown, obviously the timing of the 2 matters. So, you know, in an IRTS facility, it's up to 90 days. And then as a crisis capacity, it's up to 10 days. And how do we know the difference between the 2? Usually what happens is somebody coming in as a crisis client is having very acute symptoms that need stabilization. So they need de-escalation. They need somebody to be there 24/7 to talk them through, do a lot of co-regulation, make sure that they're safe. And then get them to a point where then they can participate in a meaningful way in the IRTS part of our programming. So learning the skills that they need to manage their symptoms, setting them up with all of the things that they're going to need once they exit the program. 90 days goes really fast. And so that's how I envision we work with our different community partners, and how do we lay that foundation from day 1 when they come into our programming. So that's just kind of a little bit more of an overview, and I'm happy to answer any more specific questions that you have too. Just for the sake of time, I want to make sure we cover everything. So So we are there 24/7. And so we are really working on serving the individuals, right? So we have up to 16 beds, and of those 16, 2 are meant to be for crisis beds. So just to kind of talk a little bit about, the services that we provided. We do have an interdisciplinary team. We have mental health counselors, mental health practitioners. We do have the opportunity to have a peer recovery specialist. We have registered nurses. We do consult with psychiatry. We don't have an on-site psychiatrist, but we also have licensed mental health professionals. So we really try to offer a well-rounded approach. And the clients that we serve, they do have a lot of needs. And so we are really focusing on staffing the program appropriately so that we have the number of people there to really provide the care that they need and the care that they deserve. But then once we're staffing, really building the clinical competencies with each of our employees that work with us, so that they understand how to work with the clients that we're serving, how to deliver the services in a safe way, how to make sure that we are sending them out into the world with the tools that they need. So, I think over in the year of 2025, we served 53 individuals. So 53 of those clients were IRTS clients and 0 were crisis. And of the 53, we did have 11 that were Scott County residents. So, so I think that's a pretty good number. Average length of stay is about 61 days. And that could be for a variety of different reasons. I know we talk about how it's a 90-day program, but maybe they find housing and they're released early, to secure that spot, or other things kind of come up because the goal is to get them placed after they're done with us. And then our average occupancy rate of those 16 beds is 53%. And client satisfaction rating is 100%. So I think that that's a really good number to look at when we're serving people. Our referrals come from hospitals, they come from the jail, residential substance use treatment centers, self-referrals, case managers, and through the courts. So we have a variety of different ways that we can get those referrals. So I'm not really sure if you have other specific questions. I can expand on anything. If you want me to speak on anything else.
So you serve clients who are 18 and above with serious and persistent mental illness. So that's the population that we focus on serving.
So why was there 0 crisis? I mean, having been, I think Barb was here, Suzanne, when this thing started. It was always envisioned that those people in crisis, I think law enforcement could take them there, or somebody could, a family member. Seeing 0. Is there a reason for this, or?
And that's a really good question. I think part of that is making sure that we're staffed appropriately to be able to manage the, 14 clients that could potentially be in the program plus the crisis clients, because they can come to us at any time of the day, and being able to do an intake, get them stabilized while managing the rest of the facility, I think has been the challenge, which is why we're really focusing on staffing it appropriately. And we have already this year, we did take in a crisis client. We do have one with us right now. And so we do recognize that that is something that we do need to improve upon and that we would really like to do better with. And so we are working on that. And we're kind of getting our feet wet to find out what is it that we need. It was quite a learning experience to have that one person there between insurance verifications. And we all know how the insurance world is right now. Making sure that they're in a safe spot mentally. Can we manage the symptoms that they're experiencing? Do they have the medications in place? There's sort of a lot of different things. And so my intention with taking this last crisis client was to figure out, okay, what are the areas of growth to focus on, so that when we're focusing on building clinical competencies and standardizing the practices across the board, that we can really have something in place that's solid. Because when you get someone in that is in crisis, we really want to do justice, make sure that we're giving them the right care, not having to send them back to the hospital.
And also too, this building opened up in 2020, which is right during COVID. So we've just been able to start stabilizing right now. It's taken that a long time to find the right structure of programming and the right people to work there. So, and to then ensure that they are equipped to to adequately staff that, that location. So we're getting there right now, but we had to create a strong foundation in order to get there.
And we've talked about this, we've anticipated, by the end of Q3, being able to be fully operational and receiving crisis clients. I did meet with Mary from the Scott County Mobile Crisis Team last week and just sort of talked about how we could work together. What are some ways, that we can move forward. We're collaborating together and working on that. We've also have a relationship with one of, I believe his name is Chris, with coordinated response, who was someone I met right when I first started. So forgive me for that, and how we could work together in the clientele that we serve. So we are working to.
And there's a standing meeting between the adult mental health supervisors, Tracy, Amber, and then Peter, our housing attends it. There's a routine, a standing meeting, so that we can make sure our case managers, our coordinated responders, and then our housing specialists are all coordinated.
Right.
That's been going on for months now. And I've heard very positive feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, I just know, Dr. Ward, when they pushed this and the construction of it, it was kind of a balance of, if I remember right, we needed to be able to take folks from Anoka and other places, right, step them into the community, but have law enforcement or family a place to, and it was, if I remember, it was almost evenly balanced in the amount of beds they were originally looking at, so.
I think one other piece too, I believe Joe Club is on your board. And for those of you that Joe Club is also really instrumental in the Alina St. Francis Scott County Integrated Health Clinic. And so I think what Tanya brought up is such an important piece, is like, how do all of these pieces intersect together? And when we think about that Scott County Integrated Health Clinic and the potential for how do we reduce people going into the emergency room at St. Francis, and kind of that whole continuum that we're continuing to build out. Like, I just think Guild's an important player in that piece, and both the crisis and just the residential piece, they're important elements of that. I think that we'll continue to engage in conversations and think about, like, how do we do this in a thoughtful way that really helps to build it out, that vision that we wanted. So
When I said to Sarah, it's nice to see you 3D, because we were in that meeting, that integrated health.
Yes.
As part of that, because when we think of the continuum of care, like IRTS is really the last step before you get to inpatient, because it's residential. And so we imagine with this integrated health facility where you're gonna have the community outpatient, where people live at home, but they go to this place maybe 3 or 4 times a week. The referrals coming from IRTS and then maybe going to IRTS in crisis. You're an instrumental player.
Yeah, and same, like, having resources to send our people to, because we're not a housing program, but you want people to be in some sort of housing. That's the desire, but what does that look like for people? So that's part of the process. Yeah.
And to build off your question that you asked, to be 100% transparent, the current CEO has been there for just at 2 years, and I've been here for about 1 year and 8 months. And we had to do a lot of restructuring and overhaul. So we really had to figure out who we were, refigure out who we were as an organization and what was important and how we were going to do the work. Not just from a logistics standpoint, but from a humane and service standpoint as well. So I think we've done a really good job at establishing that and reestablishing relationships that have been not as strong in the past. So I think we're getting there, and that has taken time.
So.
Commissioner Brecky's been waiting.
Got her hand up. Look at that. She's got her hand up. Wow. Look at that.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. And I think some of the most recent discussion with Dr. Ward just answered some of my questions. I think this board in making the capital outlay for this facility really was hoping for full utilization. So it's great to see the trends going where they are. It's really good to hear about the work to get crisis operational, even though, my heart of hearts, I mean, that IRTS work is probably so very important, but we really want crisis beds in the community. So I was glad to hear about those standing meetings with our staff, but I think that'll be really important when the crisis beds are more available, we need to have some good communication between us and law enforcement and the hospital to make everybody feel comfortable that this is a good option for folks and get folks there, because we have been waiting, and it'll be good to have that option for folks to stay in the community. I guess the other question that I didn't have answered is, in your work in the new Dakota County facility or the reimagined facility, is it both IRTS and crisis, and are you having the same issues there, or are the crisis beds operational and more utilized? So that would be my only outstanding question, I think.
The crisis beds are utilized in Dakota County. Yes. Yeah.
So
how many do you have?
Two crisis and 14 IRTS.
In Dakota County?
Yeah, so it's a very similar model. Yeah.
Yes.
So in talking about, getting crisis beds up and running here, it sounds like those are there some barriers for here compared to utilizing those beds and having the protocol in place there?
Yeah, great question. I think, again, we're looking at stabilization. In 2014, we had, at the end of 2025, our census was up to 14 IRTS, right? And then we just started, we were ready to take crisis on. And then we went through a staffing issue, and then there was turnover, and then we have a new manager in place, and with the new manager, the system gets shaken up a little bit, and people there was some turnover. So we're going back to reestablishing a strong foundation before we can take crisis and IRTS. We want to make sure that when we taking crisis or any client really, is that we are equipped to do it well, that we're not just doing it to do it, but we're able to do it well. And that means a staff to client ratio that's being met, and making sure that the current staff that we have in place is adequately trained to do that. So that's where we are. And so we're on a good trajectory to meet that goal by the end of Q3 of this year. Yeah.
Yeah, and just a couple of observations that I've had since I've been in place. We all know residential has a tough time with staffing, right? There's a lot of transient staffing patterns that happen in a residential facility. So part of investing in building the clinical competencies in the people that we're hiring is hoping that we're investing in them, that they will invest in us. We're hoping that we're going to see that feedback and creating a structure for them, creating, the preferred workplace, creating a culture that people really want to work at, to avoid that revolving door, to avoid that. And I know that that's going to happen. And so we want to avoid being in the situation again where we're like, well, we're having staffing issues, and that happens, right? I feel like post-COVID, a lot of changes happened, and not even being able to find qualified candidates, but I feel like we're kind of getting past that hump. So I think that's part of it, is just trying to kind of work through that. And I had another point in my mind and it flipped. So if that comes back, I'll let you know.
And we're also looking at culture as well, right? We're trying to maintain and sustain the staff and enhance. And we're also building up upward mobility trajectories so if a staff comes in as an MHP, can they then move to a clinical trainee, then to a clinical supervisor, so that there's upward mobility options for them to stay if they enjoy the work that they're doing. Our jobs are to create an environment that they enjoy working at, and making each role sustainable. Because that had been a big issue too. We really had to address the sustainability of each role. There was a lot of work that was just being put on the backs of our staff, which then created turnover, right? So we're really having to kind of re-level set and understand that what each role does and how they do it, in order to reduce the turnover and to make sure that the staff is adequately trained and they have a good work-life balance, so that they actually want to come to work and provide the services. We know.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, you feel the tension, right? There's been tension, or maybe it's not you, but before. I mean, we've just had such high hopes for this.
Yes.
I keep saying, people thought it was a Kevin Costner movie, just build it, they'll come. Sure. There are people in need and the staffing. But the reality is the need is there. And then we are having these regular meetings to kind of like, this thing has to move. There's too much need. This is such a sweet spot, well, literally and figuratively, to really try to bring about transformation in people's lives and change the trajectory and all of those things, which we're super serious about here. So that's where it's just like, yeah. And like, I don't want to hear about it. Let's just get it done.
I feel that. You know, the other part too that I was gonna point out before was, you know, I think that there's also an assumption that because there's a need, that the referrals are just gonna come pouring in. But I'm learning that that's not the case, or the referrals are coming in, but maybe they're not appropriate for the programming. So what are we doing?
Sure.
Right? What are we doing to not be in this situation again? We've put together, I guess, what we're calling a kind of a community outreach task force, if you will.
Referral outreach, yeah.
Where we are saying we are not just gonna wait for the referrals to come. We are building our mailing list. We are building our community partnerships. I am trying to get a face-to-face relationship with community members in the hospitals, in some of the doctors' offices, you know, wherever we can, we are saying, hey, we have openings. Like, come and check us out. And so we're being more proactive in that sense to say, we've got openings, this is what we need. This is an appropriate referral. If that means, you know, coming to a Scott County staff meeting and saying, this is who we are, this is what an appropriate IRTS referral is, or this is what an IRTS referral is. Here's the process on how you do that. Like, let's make it happen. So I think there's a couple of parts, right? Or we're getting, you know, referrals where there are people that are, you know, actively using substances, and then, you know, and that's where a lot of our income is coming from. So point is that we're educating, we're doing more on our end to say, hey, bring us in, let's fill these beds, let's get this program up and running. And I think in the amount of time since January till now, I can see a huge shift already. So.
Well, in Barb, is that where you're talking about the law enforcement side of things, just from a maybe more of a crisis perspective, if law enforcement's more aware of this opportunity? And you know, that's never changing. I mean, everything's ever changing, right?
Right.
So we can't send this for you. This is, you know, we made a call and sent that postcard like, I think it was 2024. They should probably still have it. So they should know.
Right.
Sure.
And again, not specific to like, oh, we called those guys like 2 years ago, so they should know we're, so having those types of ongoing and we have outreach here.
Right.
That if we're partnering, because we want to partner, we want to partner. I think you probably know that. After the tension that has been there, not passive aggressive, because we're trying to deal with it, knowing that you have your hurdles, but like, golly, let's get there. Too much need.
I agree.
Yeah, so it sounds like the partnering and the creation is the next step.
I remember we didn't have co-responder when this model was built, and so that's changed a little bit, but it sounds like you guys are all meeting now on this continuum. And if you're part of those conversations, I have to believe it's gonna evolve as we're staffed up. So I'm encouraged by this conversation.
I am too.
And we're
Just
trying,
for the record,
and
I am
just,
too.
I just want to clarify too, so the formal intake process was going through the intake coordinator, right? And that wasn't necessarily serving our needs, so we were like, well, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna expand the referral sources? So then we created this team, and so within the last month, we have gotten.
I would even say within the last 2 weeks, is really when we started really intensifying our efforts. And right away, within 24 hours, the referrals started coming in. And somebody just simply go to the Mayo Clinic and drop off, you know, some flyers and speak to someone there. We already had referrals come in. We definitely get great referrals from the jail. They're not always appropriate for the programming, but they're coming in, and at least I can jump in and say, hey, can I have a conversation with you? Can I get a little more context? Because sometimes people look scary on paper when they're coming out of jail.
Yeah.
Give me some more information. And then that way I'm having an upfront conversation, you know, with Megan saying, you know, this really isn't an appropriate IRTS admit, or this really isn't an appropriate crisis admit, and here's why.
Yeah.
You know, but then it also helps, like, for example, you know, Heidi Schultz is a case manager. We worked with another client. I was more confident going into a referral of accepting someone scary on paper, knowing that we've now collaborated and I trust that we can work together to make this work. So
there's that in action, happening.
And those are like direct.
I was just gonna say, everything that we do is relational. So to your point around, oh my gosh, well, 2020, we sent out and that's not who we are currently. I just want to say that, I don't know, Tanya could probably speak to the relationships that we've already established and tried to, and cultivated, ongoing. And so, yes, we know that we can't do this work in a silo, that we'd have to be, expansive and everything. Again, the client, if our North Star is client care, that cannot just be our responsibility, it's all of our responsibility, but how do we do it? Through relationships. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off.
I'm encouraged that you have the crisis bed happening. I'm not gonna pretend to be an expert on the difference between emergency and crisis, but it's at some level, if there's a threshold, you have to pass with staffing. So once, and that's like black and white, that's written in statute, that's how it is. But once you reach that threshold, then you have some clinical judgment. But you guys have reached that staffing threshold. That's miles ahead of where we were a couple of years ago. We couldn't even get to that threshold. Now we're there.
Right.
And so now we have the room for clinical judgment. And I really appreciated when I can call the program manager and sometimes even Trish and John. I've called you guys to say, if you're not going to take one of our clients, please call us and tell us why. We want to hear the clinical rationale.
Yeah.
And that, like, it's those pieces. So all those things you're saying, those have, I'm not gonna say they're those things, those honest conversations that we had with you, but I think they were a big part of it. So we just really appreciate the communication, because we're not gonna dictate how it's a crisis. You are the experts. We just want to hear then your thinking process so that it could guide our decision making.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of change in that, and that's like, from my perspective, that's very assuring.
Right. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, and like, while I'm not the clinical supervisor and I don't have the licensure, I do have experience working with the mobile crisis team up in St. Louis County, so I understand from a different standpoint how that works, since I'm hoping I can integrate that knowledge into the programming that we're doing right now, so.
But now, not to, with that, but do they have crisis in St. Louis County? Is it like just good and grand? There's no
Yeah, there's no problem.
crisis?
I mean, yeah, it's great. Just go out in the lake and fish a little bit,
Right? We're also looking at expanding programming too. We were literally just talking today about like therapy dogs. Like, could we're in a position right now, and which is exciting and fun.
She's a big fan.
I have been trying for a year and a half, so.
We're in a position now to start asking, can we? I don't know, can we? Can we design what would be helpful for the clients? I know what my dogs do for me.
Let's talk.
Right. Seriously.
Draw the line of cats.
I'm listening about like gerbils or.
So, like I just saying, we're at a really good point right now where we can start asking these questions about programming, about culture, about staffing, about expectations, about. So it's been a long, like Tanya was saying, it's been a long haul to get here. Because we've had to create the intention, and then again, with a newer CEO and a newer chief clinical officer, and going, who are we?
Did we cut the ribbon on that 6 years ago this summer? You like?
That sounds right.
So it's just, it's like.
Yeah.
The numbers are trending.
I know they are. That's positive.
I think we gotta move on a little bit. We're going in the right direction because we're gonna run out of time for them, so.
This is and we're well aware
Yeah.
about the conversation, right? And yet we still show up.
Yeah.
We're willing to have the conversation.
Hopefully there was no elephant in the room because we've been
Yeah.
talking
We
about
know, because we're working on it every
Yeah,
day.
That's what I'm saying. We don't want to be passive aggressive, and I don't think we are. But when there's tension, there's tension.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys felt it too. Before there was conversation, so 100%.
Yeah, well, thank you. The next program, we're going to talk about was employment services. Now, this is, all of the programs are near and dear to my heart, but employment services is a really wonderful program, that allows the client to apply their learning and become part of the community. It's a really wonderful, so for those of you who are not familiar with employment services, it's a program that views work holistically and as a critical part of the recovery process. So not something different, but it is an integral part of the recovery process. Our employment specialist supports clients in determining career interests and searching for jobs, reaching out to employers in the community, meeting clients in the community to take them to their interviews, preparing for interviews and finding the resources needed, deciding whether to disclose mental illness to the employer or not. This is client-led. The client gets to decide that. And helping them maintain their employment. The employment specialists are out in the community doing this work. So it's we serve youth 16 and over and adults at 18 and over with SPMI and SMI, serious and persistent mental illness and serious mental illness. We get internal and external referrals. So we refer to employment services within the organization through like our targeted case management program, through our IRCS program, right? So that the focus on this program is basically low barrier. If somebody wants to work, our job is to help find them employment. And not just throwing them out there to the wolves by themselves, but helping them interact with the employers, communicate with employers, practicing the skills that they've learned all throughout their continuum as well. So currently we have 7 case managers serving Scott County, Dakota County, and Ramsey County. And we have 80 active clients, 25 of which are Scott County residents.
Can I say one thing about this
Sure.
program? So we have 2 of your staff are embedded into our targeted case management team here. And then 1 of your PAC, which is probably your next slide, the outreach for housing is embedded. And as somebody who isn't always goes to staff meetings, when I go to that adult mental health staff meeting and I see all those people together, I can't tell who is the Guild employee and who is the Scott County. And that's like the partnership on that team and the decision. I don't know who decided a long time ago to embed those people together, but that partnership works really, 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 really well. And I know the case managers and the adult mental health team really value the 2 IPS folks and then Corey, our PAC worker. That relationship is really strong. And then for the clients, they have to be, in order to participate in Scott County, they have to be involved in the case management, targeted mental health case management. And they can really partner, and we've seen that help with, they're in housing, or they're in IPS and they're doing really well. Do we still need case management? Those are decisions that they can then have, and that just helps people move through the continuum a little bit quicker as we look at we have needs, we have wait lists. So for many reasons, the partnership is great.
And we just added to that, that's not a fiscal piece for the employment services or the PAC on behalf of Scott County. Those are things that you go after, you pursue those grants, you procure that, your contract, and your staff. And so that's just expands our capacity without expanding any administrative effort on our part. So that's a good partnership there.
Yeah, we had a presentation at the mental health LAC from one of your staff people. That was a really good presentation that talked about, working with the client and working with the job site and making sure that person is understood. So that's good.
This program really brings dignity, and that's been the consistent word that we've heard from the clients, is that they feel that they have dignity because they're out in the community. They're not off in a building somewhere else. They are out in the community working side by side with all of us, right? So it's a really great program.
It gives them a sense of purpose in the world, which is a huge part of recovery.
So you kind of rejiggering, retweaking, figuring out who you are to set us foundation to keep on moving, right? Would you say past Guild or whatever, because you're still Guild, right? Just some different partners. We're looking for transformation. That's what we're looking for. We don't want, repeat. We know there's going to be that, of course. You want change. Well, we want change. I'm assuming we do too. transformation and hope in people's lives so that we don't see them again because they're out in the community thriving, not just getting by, but thriving.
Right.
Right.
Do you feel, it kind of back about past, but do you feel like this is something that, but gets, people have to want it, can't force them,
Correct.
doesn't usually happen, but you come alongside them in a way that really, the past shows that there's trajectory, and this is gonna be even better.
Yeah.
New and improved Gil, or whatever, I don't, my word's not.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But for sure, I think that absolutely, this is the, I think the area, the space for the client to actually, become a part, embedded in the community, right? They're no longer something else.
They are the community,
They are the
not
community.
the outliers, or whatever, I don't know what the right phraseology is, but they're.
And that's
They're
where the first
contributing and, yeah, and that's part of the partnership. So, in order to set somebody up for success, coming even from the residential, set them up with employment services so that at least they can have an opportunity to make a living and be a part of the community and have a purpose in their day. That's part of the trajectory. And then afford to be able to live on their own or have housing or take care of their family, all those things. So.
the same things that we all want, right? Like, yeah, so that to me is, I love that program, so. I don't know, but, yeah.
And it's helpful in the sense too, that it can also help educate community members who are employing people.
Sure.
Like help them understand that this isn't so scary, that you can give people an opportunity, and they could be some of your best workers,
Right.
honestly.
And hopefully the times help.
Right.
And bring, have been, and kind of help.
Yeah.
That, be more of a reality.
We're, like last time, do you want to?
Sorry.
Sorry about the last program we were going to talk about was our outreach program, which is it's a team that goes and connects with unhoused folks within the community. Really, again, they're the program that we're really incredibly proud of. They have been faced with a lot of challenges over the last year, so for them to be able to provide the outcomes that they provided, we are incredibly proud of them. So. I'm sorry that we're over time.
Probably my fault.
Not at all.
I'm just gonna add one piece to that outreach. I don't know if you've seen our schedule, we got this, that, these people, those people, this. But we're trying to weave a tapestry, not we, because working with the, subject matter experts, but there's sometimes overlap or feeders. Both to you or even from you with some of these other partners that we're working with. I'm sure you're probably already working with Tony, but having that outreach. To be thinking along those lines.
That's one of our pillars, right?
Okay.
The community program expansion, right? Like working with the partners and expanding where there is a need.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, it's been a really rigorous last year and a half.
It's been a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've even used Path, we've partnered, so we've put referrals in for adult mental health intake, which then led to a Path referral. And so now we're working, and that's our crisis client. So like, it's all a part of it. And it's been really great. It's been really helpful. That's it.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your passion. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, we have passion, right?
I'm good. I'm glad.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're gonna start.
I am waiting for some papers.
We're
or
gonna
some
start with
copies.
introductions. Take it away, Dave, hold this fine.
Dave Beer, County Commissioner.
Lisa Bronski, Public Health Director. Nikki Holberg, Children's Services. Cindy Manabe, Deputy Clerk to the Board.
Suzanne Arnson, Health and Human Services.
Barb Dahl, Health and Human Services.
Lloyd Earbaugh, major supporter.
Hi, I'm Tanya Ward, Behavioral Health and Housing here.
Davis, physical therapy.
Good morning, Katie Malika, I work in administration perspective.
No, Michael Bergstrom, Community Engagement.
I am Tracy Cervenka, Administration. Mary Hernandez, Executive Director of NCASA.
And Pat Simmons, I'm the chair of the board for UCASA.
Elmo, Commissioner.
Jody Brennan, Commissioner.
Leslie Vermillion, Administration.
John Ulrich, Commissioner, and
Lisa Conrad, Public Affairs.
we have somebody on the line.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Pat. Barb Weckman Brecky, Scott County Commissioner. Good to see you guys. Sorry I can't be there in person.
Well, we can start talking about Migata, and I have a friend here today, and he's actually the founder of Esperanza. And the reason why we're all on in this together. So, just a little about Mikasa, and I think a lot of you are familiar. I need to stand up. My anxiety kicks in. We have now been in Mikasa for 20 years. And formerly, I always say Esperanza, because we started as a Ministry of New Creation Lutheran Church. And we and I was a school district employee, and we started to see our students falling through the cracks, right? We saw parents' involvement look different, and we knew that our families and our community were not accustomed to the US system, so we wanted to help level that plane and educate our families on the system and how we could do better together. So Mikasa was built as a response to our families and students falling through the cracks, and how we could help everybody succeed and belong and feel part of the community and thrive together. So with that said, it evolved into sport. It evolved into summer camp that we do a partnership with the district. Mikasa stands for community, support, solidarity, and friendship. Not only have we been in the community, but we're part of the community. We live, eat, play, sleep, breathe in Shakopee. And our kids go to school here. Our kids have graduated from Shakopee. My husband is a pastor of a church in Shakopee. So we want to be in any type of news, we want it to be highlighting Scott County. And we make sure to right. Makes me want to dance. The right.
Nice.
Working?
I think it's not. Where is the,
It's actually at Sydney. Is it just not working?
it's,
Give me a sec.
we may
It's
have,
frozen.
Well, our focus is and has been and will always be our youth, right? We have learned that the first time I asked my dad to volunteer, he said, why would I do the work without getting paid? I came to this country to raise money and leave home, and he never did. So it was easier to work with our students and our youth because they were born and raised in Shakopee, and to give back into our communities. We expanded our work because unlike other people, we do go back and forth with Scott in Carver County. That's just a bridge over. And so we work with Carver County, very, very borderline Savage in Burnsville, so a little of Dakota County. We had around 120 students. We have been partnering with public health for a long time, since the camp started 16 years ago. But officially, we made a partnership last year in 2025 where we shared staff. We shared Astrid, and we shared her as far as child and teen checkup and to outreach with immunizations and mental health. Also, prevention, drug and abuse. And we also have a partnership with the Family Resource Center. We had, I didn't give you this because I found it, I received it last night, but there were 400 families that were identified that came through the Family Resource Center. 203 were identified as Hispanic and were submitted by Mikasa through Mikasa. So we're really excited about the work we're doing at the Family Resource Center. It's mostly medical support, driver's license information, immunizations, domestic violence, and access to food, that the cases that we saw come through the Family Resource Center. We also continue doing outreach as case management to follow up, so it's not just a one-time thing. Our goal with Mikasa is that you should not be coming back in the next 3 to 5 years. You should be good and set and giving back to our community. So we work with the youth on work development, and we partner with the Shakopee Chamber to help create those bridges and those opportunities for our students to work. And you might have seen some of our students at Rhythm of the Rails. And we also are working with Amazon this year to see how that looks like to create. We provided our students an opportunity through the summer camp to work with the district, and 9 out of those students received a free scholarship to become teachers of color and work within the school districts here in Shakopee. So we're really excited about that.
Just a quick question, like the Amazon, what does that look like, or what does that?
We're trying to figure out what that looks. It's career exploration.
Yeah.
But I mean, they have the jobs and we have the kids. So we're looking at 5 Fridays and we need to bus them. And we're gonna share and train on different job opportunities that they can hold with Amazon and maybe duplicate what we did with the district where they became para and are going to school to become teachers of color. So that's my goal. That's our goal. Anything you want to pitch in?
No, it's, do you have other slides? So you've got the goals.
This is.
You know, when we started this, I came to Shakopee in 2007. And Mary was working at the school across the street. And one of the things that interested me was that I had not been in Minnesota before, but I kept reading that Scott County is per capita the wealthiest county in Minnesota. And 50% of the kids across the street were on free and reduced meals. And I kept walking back and forth from the office of the church that was right across the street from Sweeney Elementary School. And Dave Orlowski was the principal at the time. And I kept asking, how can we help? And what can we do? And saying that I believe that as a church, our goal is to be a good neighbor. How do we serve this community? He eventually believed me and you know, in fact, he's on our board at this time also. And he started talking about the needs and the reason that the majority of this of the free and reduced were kids from the Hispanic community. And I heard at that time about the state feeding kids and during the summer through the summer school programs, and then we could do it at our church. And so we started talking about how to do that. And I thought this would be great. We could invite these kids in. We can give them praise. I'm thankful for Dave Orlowski because he let me talk to the teachers, and we had some of the teachers that were willing to come in and help them with reading that summer and help them with science projects and doing things as we had these kids show up. But the first time I tried something like this, we invited and nobody came. And then I met Mary and she had a connection with the Hispanic community. She invited in, more people came than what we had capacity for. And from that, we just started building on this program. The goals increase healthy living, healthy lifestyles. The soccer program was the first thing we started to go with the reading and the science programs. We then started doing environmental things with, the first thing we did outside of soccer was a garden at the church where the kids could learn about fresh vegetables and things like that. And then it just kept growing into different things for healthy living for parents, healthy living for mental health, which outside of an Anglo community, mental health is not something that is easily spoken about. It's a taboo, and it's one of those things that if you're strong enough, you can just suck it up and get through. You all know that's not true. And that's why suicide rates are so high, and we have to address these things. And we want to not just break the cycle, but we want to empower these kids. One of the things that I love about what this program has done with Mikasa is that some of these kids that were there as in second and third grade have now been employees of this and gone off to college since then. But we have given them a place to learn how to do a job, to learn how to work within the community, to learn the responsibility and to be proud of the fact that they are who they are. That it's not one of those things that we have to go, I wish I were. No, you can be proud of the fact you are who you are, and you can earn your wages, and you can do it well, and you can then go off to college on your own. One of the members of our board was one of the first kids that went through this program. He was got a master's degree from Harvard.
I think it's Harvard. Blanca Guzman.
Yeah, you know, something I thought was going to happen from this program as we started, but kids are seeing an opportunity. I don't have to be stuck in a cycle of poverty or a cycle of feeling outside, but I can break through that. So we want to develop leadership, foster. And one of the things that we're looking at doing is how do we do some more leadership development of our youth? And we continue to look for new ways of doing that. Things that we're doing, trying to assist in the end of poverty. The first thing you have to do, Maslow's hierarchy of need, you have to give somebody the support, shelter, food, clothing, take care of those things. And when kids were coming back from weekends and having not eaten over the weekend. How do you take care of kids like that? Or they go away for one of the issues we had is that both parents were going off to work and the 7 or 8-year-old was watching the 3-year-old at home. That's not a good environment for kids. That, gangs were actually recruiting in the mobile home parks. And so we decided we needed to do something and provide a safe opportunity. We feed the kids, but we also then, I don't know, how many families do you feed through the food shelf bank that we have now?
So we had through the pandemic, as you were all there volunteering and you came and helped support. This picture actually is from the pandemic when we were doing the drive-through and in partnership with our supporters. We have distributed over 5 million pounds of food since the pandemic hit. And one of our largest contributors and supporters has been public health. So a lot of the things we do, we could have not done without Lisa. So thank you, Lisa, for your support and being there with us. We then changed the model to a pantry because we got tired of being out there. And after our brother George Floyd was murdered, we saw the offset come to Shakopee and we could not keep up and we couldn't afford it. So we changed our model to a pantry where it's a store, right? Like people shop what they need and what they can. And we also included the cultural side, which is expensive, but we have tried to keep up. And we still do the distribution once a month at the FRC. So with those numbers is around 500 a week. We're the offset of the CAP agency because we can't keep up. We refer everybody to the CAP agency and then we take what us to the crack.
All right. The programs we offer, I'm not even going to pretend. It's amazing. I've worked with this group for 20. I don't speak any Spanish. Your voice, a platform to express opinions, build confidence. It gives people the opportunity. In school, I had an opportunity to have debate, to have state speech contests, all those kind of things to get you in. It's not culturally part of their background of what the parents are encouraging. And so we are giving a platform for them to start learning how to dialogue in respectful ways so that they can then take their issues of their community to the public. Educational programs through the help of public health, schools, etc. And the summer soccer program continues to be one of the things that draws kids in. Having a safe place for your kids to go while you're out working, it's not something we necessarily think about. But if you can't afford anything, it's a huge blessing to these families that they know that their kids are in a safe place, they're having a healthy activity, and they're being fed and they're being watched over.
Another thing is that we're able to do this work because of a grant that we received in partnership with Scott and Carver County, the Innovation Grant that focuses on mental health. And what it does to us, we have worked so much with our parents and loosen the stigmas and mental health are barriers beyond culture and that we were trying to educate. So we took our students' voice and translated it, and we have been meeting. They meet on Saturdays from 9 to noon and once a month, sometimes twice a month, and we translate their voice into parents so that parent can hear. Because if I would tell my mom I'm lazy, I'm tired, and I don't want to get out of bed, she would say I'm lazy, and she would make me clean, and she would drag me to school. So having to have a therapist, we partner with therapists and we partner with the county with the resource available to translate that voice. We also know that mental health is connected with substance abuse and self-medicating. So we received the grant, and that's one of the documents you have in front of you. A cannabis grant, we received $10,000 from public health, one of the grants, to help educate our community on what substance abuse was with cannabis and also opioid and the risk and awareness and how we can prevent that.
Yeah. And I miss on the two votes, the mental health aspect of that too, to help kids to work through that. No matter where you fall on the political spectrum, we love the kids that are there in front of you. And when you have a child that felt like they had everything going and they're straight A students, and they get to a point, sorry, this is passionate for me. They get to a point where they realize that you know what? My kids are, my friends are starting to get driver's permits. And I can't. Because my parents, who came here maybe undocumented, decided it would be best for me to be born around their family. So they went back into Mexico, had me, and came back 4 days later. But because I wasn't born here, I'm not a citizen. And they're not documented. And they realize, oh, this is the first opportunity that goes away. I can't get a driver's license. And what does that mean for the rest of it? Oh, I can't get a job legally. I can't afford to get financial aid to go to college because a parent made a choice to have me back with their family and then come back within the next 2 weeks. I have not tried to argue about anything about what we have for immigration, but I'm going to say that we love our neighbors no matter who they are, and we should care for them. And these kids lose hope. And the mental health issues that they go through, kids, I mean, this is where Dave Orlowski, when he was a principal, would help me to see and help us to see. Kids who had been straight A students, by the time they get to the point where they realize that I can't get a driver's license and I can't get anything else. They go from straight A students to kids who are failing because they've given up on life. And that does a great deal of damage to mental health. And somehow we have to care for these people. They're our neighbors, they're our community.
And we do it through partnering with the county, with St. Francis, with the Shakopee Police Department. You see us at the Picnic with the Police. We're the founders. We we have an excellent police department that is willing to get out there, work with us, do Zumba. You've seen them if you come on Picnic with the Police and have a good relationship, especially now more than ever. So stop in. It's a quick shout out. Stop in this year to Picnic with the Police because we'll be there again. But that's what our community needs, right? That sense of belonging while we're talking about mental health. The work we do, we're able to do it through the innovation grant.
Other programs, back to school, make sure the kids have the supplies they need to be successful in school. Toys for the holidays. One of the things that I like how it's progressed is that it gives parents the dignity of they go on and shop alone. The kids have something else to do. The parents don't have to feel like, or the kids don't have to see their parents getting something free for them because they can't afford it. It gives them the dignity of going, my mom and dad did this for me, which is an important thing. Sorry, click twice. There we go. Workforce development, providing youth and adults paid work for opportunities. Again, giving them an opportunity to learn. Kids, if you've raised children, you know that one of the hardest things to do is when they're teenagers, teaching them to learn to work. And giving them that example and pushing them out the door. This is giving them that opportunity to learn how to work so that they can learn the skills necessary to be successful further on in life. Volunteer opportunities. Mary mentioned that this was one of the things that when we first, I learned a lot about cultural things working, but the idea that it was foreign for her dad to the idea of volunteering. Why would you do something if they're not paying for you for it? Because you need to survive. And giving and helping them to see a sense of the other person. And as you've been blessed and you've been taken care of, you have an opportunity to volunteer also. And that you have an opportunity to be a blessing. I would love it if someday there was, and this is not, I would love it, and I love the fact that Mi Casa has become run by people in the community. There are a few Anglos still around on the board of directors, and we hope we have something to offer. But the more that the community is able to support itself and the youth are able to see the community leading themselves, the easier it is for them to go, I have confidence now to be integrated among the greater community, which is what we all want for all of us. That we're not going, oh, we need a Hispanic ministry, or excuse me, I'm a pastor still, a Hispanic organization and a other kind of, Somali organization and Anglo. We'd like it to be that we can integrate the community and we can celebrate each other, but we have to give opportunities for people to become comfortable in the environments. And this gives them that.
And we're working toward getting rid of him. So you're with us.
We're working on it.
Yeah, we talked about mental health, and this is a summer camp in partnership that we do with the school district. We have been doing this for 16 years. We've have had over 5,000 students go through the program, and this is an actual summer camp. It's not a punishment, it's not summer school. So we know that a lot of parents and students couldn't afford to go to summer school or a YMCA camp, and this is how this was born. To create a healthy, safe environment where you would be away from gangs. Because at the point throughout the summer, we were having third graders that were coming back then, home, back to school with a MySpace page, and we wanted to change that. These are all the organizations that we partner with, and we continue to add and grow. This is, we know and we understand clearly that one organization can't do it alone. We know that collaboration makes a difference, and as we have seen it through the pandemic, as we have seen it through Metro Surge, we cannot stand alone, and we are all part of this community. So we partner with everyone in Scott and Carver County that we can think of, and other organizations in the Twin Cities. These are all community events that we do and that we bring in our volunteers and our youth to get to know you, to get to know each other. I mean, in today's reality is who you know. And if you know your neighbor, and if you know for your neighbor at the right, your neighbor at the left, if you know someone, you'll find a church, you'll belong, it gives you that mental health stability and sense that we are part of this community. I have been in Shakopee for now 30 years. So it's my home. My kids are, like I said, 4 of them are born and raised here. This is our home. So we want to give back, and we want to teach our students to give back. This is our budget and our estimated, our funders, and it includes the innovation grant.
This is
This
changing.
is before.
Yeah. The budget is probably double that at this point in time because of Metro Surge. And we're grateful for the support that has come in to make it possible to meet that.
The reason why it doubled, we received a $300,000 grant for rent and utilities support for families with Metro Surge.
And another 100 and some thousand for, yeah.
So ways to get involved, volunteer, donate, call us, work with us. We have students, we have parents willing to learn, and we're here to do whatever we can to help our community thrive together. You know, you
Any
have any
questions?
questions?
Great work.
Any questions? Well, I was gonna say in this day and age, I didn't want to lead off with this, but, what kind, you know, in this state, everyone's talking about fraud. Just was down at Capitol yesterday and or last week, they're banging heads on fraud. Shouldn't be banging heads, that's all. So what guardrails? Because then people ask, oh, you work with partners, you give subject matter experts. Like, what guardrails do you have, audit trails or whatever, and all, especially now the money's really coming in.
Correct.
To make sure it's getting to the.
That's honestly, the events of the last 6-8 months here, the news events in the last 8 months have pushed us towards it. Remember, when we started this, we hoped that maybe 20 or 30 kids would show up the first day, and we had 70, and now we have hundreds of kids throughout the summer and all these other programs. And yet we still did it on a very small budget for a long time. And now it's gotten bigger. And so we've just actually contracted with a CPA for public and charitable organizations who is coming in and going through all of our books, going through all of our processes and redoing it. Honestly, we were doing it at the best of our abilities because this wasn't the best. And we knew we were doing it with integrity.
Yeah.
Now we need to be able to prove we're doing it with integrity. And so we are having it all looked at by a CPA. We're having it all looked at and new guidelines and processes put into place. So we make sure that we can come out and say, this is the process we have in place. Before that, it's not quite the shoebox in the filing cabinet, but that wasn't our priority. Our priority was getting the materials and the goods and serving the families. We now see in this that we have to be able to show we have followed a paper trail and we can show you the paper trail. So we're in the process of creating better guidelines. And that's, I have a background before I went into ministry in finance and that we have the CPA. Dave Orlowski, who became at one time the acting superintendent here, is probably more process oriented. He's an engineer by background. He is more process oriented than anybody else. We're getting these in place and we're gonna have it. But right now, we still have some work to do.
Yeah. Well, I only asked the question, obviously, because
It's a big issue. We
it's a
have
big
to.
deal.
And it's a big question because a lot of people seem to be afraid to work with communities of color or nonprofits of color. And being the only Latino organization in Scott County, we are very thankful for the trust of working with us. We have had system in place. Our accountant does that as a living for another organization. The grant management side, we have kept to our best ability, and we have reported on time to our donors.
Yeah.
We want to be good stewards. And
Honestly.
we have done the best that we have.
So about a year and a half ago, the Mikasa, as it was growing, Mary came back, and I left the community 10 years ago and really was not involved in it for a while. And about a year and a half ago, Mary came back and said, we need to get different people on a board that have experience running nonprofits and organizations. Because as it grew, she saw the need for it's no longer just we're taking this money out and it's automatically going out to serve these people. It became a bigger organization. And so we have the board that we have now is about a year and a half old. And we are trying to make sure we have processes in place for all of this.
And we want to be accountable and responsible to our community. I mean, you came through a pandemic and made a donation, and if you came and asked us where that went, we can prove where it went. How many onions were bought with that money? But we can do
Not
that.
that I,
No,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
know.
No, yeah.
But I know that there was a lot of fear of working with communities of color. And I know that there was fear, because of the fraud.
Yeah.
But this is, like I said, this is our community, right? I want to be able to walk into Hy-Vee and I want my kids to be able to walk into the stores and lift their face and look at people. So we are as transparent as we can. If we get a penny, we have a receipt for that penny.
well, and we probably, most of us got pushed back, ever since everything blew up. Well, you guys don't work with NGOs, as a matter of fact, I mean, they're just grabbing sound bites. But yeah, we want to deal with subject matter experts in whatever different fields that are bringing about hope and transformation that government programs can't. I don't see us backing down on that, but same time, we're probably ramping up on making sure that, because we know who we're dealing with.
Correct.
It's not state grants that are going out to whoever else, and, but we have to ensure that because people are asking us. I take being a steward of other people's money super, super serious. And we want to continue to do so. That's why I just asked.
I sent you a video this morning, and unfortunately for some of us paid for others, right?
Right.
We have this initiative and we were proactive with the CPA. Because I mean, yeah, there's gonna be human errors,
For sure.
but we want to catch them before.
And Mary, I think, when you'll probably be hearing from Scott and Nikki and Lisa, when we ask for certain pieces of information, right, that's why. And so date, names, hours, time, those are all critical things that maybe we took a little less lightly 5 years ago than we have to now.
And
So
we-
that's,
Yep.
part of why in the contracts, I think things are so specific now too. It's not, we don't like the work, it's not, we don't like partnering with you, but especially it's been more pushback in just some of the smaller nonprofits, and I understand it's work, right? And so that's why, I mean, if you read the commissioner's statement about, we were too nice of the state, they probably saw some signs and didn't push hard enough, and so we just need to make sure that we have that document.
And sometimes I feel that, I'm sorry, sometimes I feel that, and here, my analogy with this, because we're still in it. I mean, we just saw ice, we're still here. last week. And it hasn't stopped, and it just booked 65 rooms here in Shakopee, and last I heard, so we're still in it, and I felt like, a lot of people saw the house burning from the outside while we were inside the burning house. The coils are still on, and you heard me say this before. We protect our family's information and we get half of it, right? We're a low barrier organization. So when, people were coming and saying, we need names, we need addresses, so do we, but we're not getting that. So there's some things that, how can we go around it? Because those are things that our community right now doesn't feel very happy sharing. Because it would tell you where I am. So when we work, I feel like the people outside, as much as they have seen and are willing to help and love our community, they ask for things that our community can't provide. And we're dealing with it with the rental utility. It's like, we're trying to pay the rent, we just want to pay. So we need this and we need to protect ourselves. So we need this bill, right? So we're learning to navigate this, but I wish, if I had a wand, that counties and other people would understand how delicate our information is.
So are you up to date on your financial reports and the requirements of the state to, as a nonprofit?
Yes, yes. For the requirements of the state aren't nearly as difficult for us to meet as it is the requirement for all the different fund grants that we receive of all the reporting for that. That is more difficult. The requirements for the state, that's not a difficult step to make, really. But making sure that we're compliant with all of our grants is what we're trying to make sure we have processes in place for. The other thing, quite honestly, you know, again, when this started, it was a bunch of people that were trying to help people with a few dollars. I mean, the first year we did this, we literally took all the high school youth from the church that we were serving, and they all volunteered their time for the entire summer. We didn't pay anybody. And I mean, I loved them and I abused them all at the same time. It's like, but it was like, if they did it for free, and then that we knew that wasn't possible. And so we continued to expand this, and then it just got big. And so now we're going back and going, okay, we're talking to an employment attorney about how do we structure all this? All of these people we have on, how many of these people do we need to call employees and how many of these are contractors? And trying to figure out all of that. This has become bigger kind of overnight. And it really isn't overnight, but it caught, I think, people by surprise at how quickly it happened. And so we're looking at all that stuff to make sure we want to be responsible with what we're doing.
So we were receiving the food rescue from Cup Foods in 2020 when Lisa called me and said, could we list you as a food resource now through the pandemic? And we said, yeah, we'll open it on Saturday, have them come in. We have 20 bags. We had 70 families showed up the first time when we had 20 bags. So we went back to Cup Foods and said, we had 70 families, we need more. We had 100 families show up the next time. And we reached up to 700 families. Did it explode overnight? Big time. But one of the things that we have been navigating is with Keith Ellison's office with the Attorney General, because we're on the phone with them saying, where's what we're being requested? So we're on it too, just so you know, because we want to be compliant. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a good day. Enjoy your paleta.
I already did.
Thank you.
Not all of it.
You can become addicted.
Two bites.
You can become addicted. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
That's important.
You're gonna stop.
I'm not following you since Sunday. That's fine.
You also brought up some Marshall. Did you try
Oh, they're not.
Oh, I know that. So, well, I mean,
Everybody.
Oh.
Yeah.
There was enough to get all.
Yeah, thank you.
Have that one.
There you go. All right.
Don't give it to me.
Set to start? Don't go anywhere. Brad, you wanna start the introductions and work out this way?
I am Brad Davis, Director of Physical Development here at Scott County.
Good afternoon, I'm Katie Long, I work in administration.
Hi, I'm Michael Burks from Community Engagement.
I am Tracy Cervenka from administration.
I'm Molly.
Tier Webster with Damascus Way.
Demetria Frazier, Damascus Valley, Senior Director of Community Transformation.
Jody Brennan, Scott County.
Leslie Vermillion, Administration.
John Ulrich, County Commissioner.
Dave Beard, County Commissioner. Tom Wolf, Commissioner.
Lisa Brodsky, Public Health Director.
Cindy Manabe, Deputy Clerk to the Board.
Suzanne Arnson, Health and Human Services.
Hey there, Barb Dahl, Health and Human Services.
Hi, Tanya Ward, Behavioral Health and Housing.
I'm Lisa Coner with Public Affairs.
And online,
Hi, Barb Weckman Brecky, Scott County Commissioner.
all right, that's it. Go ahead.
All right, well, thank you. Good to see you all that I've met before several times and others that I haven't met. Good to meet you as well. But one thing that's changed about me since the last time we met is my eyes are worse. And so I'm gonna be doing a lot of this because I don't have those right glasses that fit my this and that. So again, Tier Webster Damascus Way, I serve as the Executive Director. We've been in partnership, many of you know, since I can't believe it, but since 2021. It's been amazing. We've grown our work here and grown as an organization. So what we have in town here is we have the Men's Transformation Home, actually two of them, one in Shakopee, one in Prior Lake. And we'll share later that we're actually going to be making a transition from our Shakopee home into this home in Savage. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. We've got our Destiny Dads program that we've got here both in community and in the jail. So that's still going and still very excited about that. And then the preventative work that we do, working with kiddos and families that are impacted by substance use, kind of going upstream. We have our Destiny Way program. So doing that primarily in the juvenile alternative facility with some work here in the community as well. And then you all probably know this year, yay, we opened up our first women's home and almost can throw a rock at the home right outside. But we wouldn't because we wouldn't want to break the window. It'd be poor use of dollars, but we have it and we're excited by that as well. And then we also, with what the organization has contributed, our own funding, we've launched a Destiny Mom and Women's Group that's happening in the jail and in the community as well. And as I just said, we'll be opening or transitioning a home from Shakopee to Savage. So theory of transformation, you all know we like to use the word transformation and call our homes transformation. Much of our mission and work is using that same language. And so Damascus Way's theory of transformation really in this community centers around housing. When we think about that Maslow hierarchy of need, housing being one of those core bedrocks for transformation. So our relationship with you all really leverages that reality as we're focusing on those that are impacted by in town here, homelessness, which often there's risk factors that include substance use and incarceration. So we believe housing and connections leads to transformation. So number of folks that we've served, number of family units, we actually call it that we've served in 2025. There's 148 families in 2025. So what that means for us in partnership with you all, it could be the individual that's living in one of the homes. And so if you know, Shakopee home can serve 4 men at any given time. Prior Lake home can serve 4 men at any given time. And the women's home can serve 4 women at any given time. So some of those numbers are included in there. And then it's also our Destiny Dads and Destiny Way program as well. For the Destiny Way program, I know we won't get a lot into the dollars unless you ask questions. The organization covers the expense of serving kiddos in this community and family through the Destiny Way program. So that's something we've decided as an organization that we're going to utilize our dollars. So we haven't received a contract or anything from you all, for that, as of yet. That said, there is a state, grant that we will be, looking to leverage here in the next few months. Right? So some data points for you. In the homes, 2025, either for, coming through for a group or short period of time, some that have stayed longer. We've got some that have been there for a lengthy amount of time. We served in 2025, 31 days, so 31 men rather. Number that have transitioned successfully. So what that means for us is they've gone through the programming that's required while in the home, and then we've been able to successfully transition them into some phase 2 housing, whether it's housing that they've identified. So there's been an apartment or a rental opportunity in town, or they've gone somewhere that's safe and going to continue to facilitate their goals in life. And so served 31 in some regard, 11 transitioned successfully. In our Destiny Dads program, we served 15 dads in community. And to be frank, that number is not overwhelming. So what you'll hear in the end, towards the end of the presentation, there's some opportunities for us to continue to try to grow those numbers. We know that the dads are here, right? We know that the dads are in town, and being a social worker and having worked in Olmsted County for a number of years, we know that dads often aren't the easiest to engage or being kind of sought after, but I believe that we can increase those numbers together. So 2025, we served 15 in community, so they came to a community group or something of that nature. In the jail, because we have a captive audience, if you will, we served 40 unduplicated dads. So these are dads that have come to the parenting group at least one time. In the jail, we got 2 groups going on every week. And I should say in community, we got 1 group going on every week. Total number that attended group from the jail. So we had some that were in jail that actually, as they transitioned out, actually went to the group and community. Again, numbers not overwhelming, but there's 2 guys there that started out in the jail and went to the group in town. And then we also had a couple dads that it's not represented here, that their place of residency was Hennepin County, and we've got a dad's group there that they were able to transition into. So we were able to stay connected to them and their family. Destiny Way, as I said, that's in the juvenile alternative facility. And so what we have is a support group in the juvenile alternative facility that happens, 2 of them, did you say?
Yes, male and female every Tuesday.
Okay, a male and female group that's happening every Tuesday, and we serve 62 kiddos, I like to say, kiddos in the juvenile alternative facility there. Goal includes, after they transition back into community, we want to stay involved with the family system. And so we were able to stay involved with 4 of those individuals. Now, you all know that one of the challenges with the kiddos there is a lot of them aren't from Scott County, right? And so this is where they come to receive services and support, but a lot of them are going back to Faribault in different cities and counties. And so that's just out of our reach to be able to stay involved with them. We had some desires maybe to try to do some virtual things and things of that nature with the families. Just hasn't worked as well as we had hoped. But 4 families, we were able to either go out to eat or go bowling or something of that nature with them. So impact in 2026, again, we served 11 residents in our homes, 3 successfully transitioned so far this year. Destiny Dads so far this year, we've served 8. And so we're actually doing better than we have last year, but there's still room for growth. Some of those are folks that actually transitioned in from 2025. So maybe they started in December in 2025, or we count them in our 2026 numbers as well. Destiny Way, we've served 20 year to date so far. So our newest venture that we've done together, exciting. And actually, this is the first time Damascus Way has served women and families. So we're really excited about this. From January to April, we've served 6 women. A number of the women one woman has obtained employment, and 3 have attended no less than 1 support service or 1 support group. Number of attendees in the community group, or in the jail group rather, 33 women. So 33 women have come to the jail group. It says community, but it should be jail actually. That's my typo. And then number that successfully completed in the jail. So that means they've completed the curriculum, or how many sessions do you have there?
8.
8-week sessions is one, and then the number that attended the support group and community. So remember, the first one, Air, 33 in jail. Second one, in support group. I don't know if you all been to the house, but if you haven't, we should set up some time for you to get there. We actually remodeled the garage, and I'll say, I was listening earlier to fiscal responsibility and our skin in the game. We did that not with your dollars, but our dollars as an organization. So if you go there, we remodeled the garage so that there could be more space for them to have groups and things of that nature. And I don't say that to kind of toot our horn, but I want to continue to remind you all, like, we're in this too. Like, we're going into our reserves to fund some of this work. So it's our commitment.
And that house, the same thing, it's four.
Yes.
Yeah. 4 at a time.
And that's a smaller home, obviously, than our Prior Lake home. But for some of you all that may not know, reasoning for 4 non-blood relatives is, it's really a zoning issue, right? So Prior Lake, we probably could double that. So as an organization, we've established kind of 4 pillars that undergird our mission, vision, values. One of which is capacity and infrastructure, the other long-term sustainability, and the one I want to speak to here is our evidence-based programming. When we think of the families that we serve, there's some kind of common risk factors that they face. We know that when folks are homeless, there's often, not always, mental health challenges, and there's almost always some sort of substance use in their background. And so as an organization, as a result of our partnership and other partnerships and funding, we've been able to build infrastructure and programming to provide certified peer recovery services. Now, in Scott County, we provided 493 peer recovery services in 2025. Now, what I want you to know is what that doesn't mean is we build 193 peer recovery services. Now, we are also a recovery community organization. We've built the infrastructure to be able to do that. I'm just on my way from a conference, market conference, coming just before here. And so we are an organization, one of a probably few dozen in Minnesota, that not only is a recovery community organization, but we also can train people to be peer recovery specialists. And so when you think of long-term sustainability, if something was to happen with our relationship here in town, which I hope I'm not kind of chopping off my own. But, we do have a mechanism, because then there again, we love Scott County. We're committed to the families, and this is a way that we can sustain the work. Yes, as broadening the toolbox with skills, but also being a financial mechanism. Now, I will say, it's not nearly as attractive as some think. I'll just share with you all. If you're billing out for peer recovery services, it bills out at like $60.08 an hour. And for smaller grassroots organizations, it's a little more attractive as you grow as an organization. I think when we started our partnership, our liability insurance was like 76 grand, and now it's over 300,000. And that, I'm not exaggerating. Well, actually I am. It's $283,000. And that's, as we say in the neighborhood, real talk. That's really what it is. And I won't say this, or I won't go into detail. Some of you all know, there is risk to serving the demographic, and some of the substance use and drugs and things of that nature that folks use are killing people. And we've experienced that in our organization. And insurance carriers are making it very difficult to receive insurance, and they're increasing rates. I don't want to get into previous organizations' business or Kool-Aid too much, but as you grow your organization, it's difficult to get insurance carriers to provide insurance. In fact, 3 years ago, I think it was, we got a 30-day notice that our insurance carrier was going to drop us. And this wasn't because of neglect or ethical matters, but they did. And because the organization size we are, we have a broker that was able to, look for some other providers. They reached out to 39 that said no, because the risk of the demographic. The first one that said yes, went from 76 to 300 and some thousand. And like a man of prayer, I was praying because I really was thinking like, man, what are we gonna do here, you know? And then late in the midnight hour, we did get one that accepted us at that point, it was 170 some grand. These are challenging times, folks. And when we think about, and I've said this before, we've become kind of a family, if you will. Folks that are doing the work directly or indirectly are carrying anxiety and stressors that we haven't experienced in times past. And so, so as we're thinking about funding and as we're thinking about you all know this, we often have to think beyond the direct service and the numbers too. What sort of weight is the organization carrying, that kind of that secondary stress that's not always valued, right? Anyhow, so proud of that. We've been able to expand our organization to what you call an RCO, Recovery Community Organization, provided 493 peer recovery hours. And I suspect that that will grow, though we're very cautious on growth these days. So opportunities. And again, I'm a child and family service man, social worker by trade. I think there's a huge opportunity to serve the whole family system different, better. So even in the homes that we're in, if you all remember, at one point we had a wood shop in our Shakopee home, called it Kindness. Some of our most fun success stories to share was when you had the dad and the kiddo in there building something together with the son. Really, if you want to experience transformation, from my perspective, it rarely happens with just an individual. It's 2 and 3 generations. And so how do we build something together that really gets the 2 and 3 generations? I think, folks, and I say it this way, we've got to figure out how we're going to do better with referrals. Whether that's we're coming red team in Olmsted County, but when a report comes in, whether you have one of our staff just kind of in there, and if you decide not to send it to ongoing or what have you, that it could be a referral. Then there's other times that we know that there are families that are impacted by incarceration and substance use. And often, if we don't know where the dad is, and probably not in Scott County, but in many counties, our aggressiveness to get the dads isn't real strong. And so maybe we can help with that. But we do need more referrals. I think there's ways to get more volunteers in the community involved. Then what I kind of alluded to earlier, kind of a rapid linkage, like let's not wait. Because I think if we wait too long, it's too late. We've experienced some of the challenges, even with women's housing. We were talking about this earlier. Our numbers with women's housing hasn't been impressive. And again, we know they're here. And as we kind of just talk shop, why do we not get women that want to go to the home? Sometimes, not always, there's a man behind the scene, right? And if a woman goes there, what does that mean to the relationship? And then there's a lot of other dynamics, but we got to figure out, maybe we broaden the scope for referrals. And I think that's something we can continue to talk about and problem solve. But we know the women are here. We know kiddos are here. Some of the best programs for women and mothers are those 2 generations. Now, we're not suggesting there needs to be women and children in that home. But how do we build something that's conscious of mothers and children? So that's kind of where we are. She said, don't put it on the spot, throw her under the bus. But I think it's wonderful if maybe you share some information or maybe even just some success stories about what's happening here in town. And then we'll be honored to field any questions.
Yeah, I really did want to just speak to the Destiny Dads program. It's really a phenomenal program, and we really appreciate the contract that we have with Scott County to fund this work. As I was thinking through, what are some of the success stories? Tia mentioned the numbers are not all I believe the value that we bring to the dads that are participating is insurmountable. And think about the complexities that the dads have. A lot of these dads don't really have access to their children. So they're trying to get the access. They're working through the parenting challenges. But that bond and that relationship that they are trying to navigate with their child is really critical and crucial to their own kind of mental health and wellness. And so I just want to really just thank you and know that the dads are benefiting greatly. Most of the dads that come, we have an 8-week curriculum. So technically they can come to the dads group, they can stay for 8 weeks, they can graduate out and they can be done. And some of them do. They want to present that in court and show that they've gotten another tool for their toolbox to add for their parenting skills and abilities, but that's not the case. Most of the dads that come have been with us for 8 months, 9 months, and even a year. To me, you can't put a price tag on that. They come willingly. They're not being forced by the courts to come. They come because they're finding community. They're finding brotherhood and fatherhood. They're finding support in what they need. And so I think just having that available for the dads that come it's amazing. And I want to continue again to find ways to get access to more dads. Sometimes it's just the day of the week. We can switch it. We had it on Wednesday. We moved it to Monday. If I move it to Thursday, I'm gonna lose some, I might gain some, but it's never gonna be a perfect opportunity. Tier has been asking for years, why aren't we doing 2 groups and maybe doing something to expand that availability, to open it up to more dads. I'm not sure what the best answer is, but I know that we're here to provide the support that they need and want to continue, hopefully, to be able to do so as long as we can.
That's right.
Thank you.
That's great. You want to ask, please do. Yes, yeah,
I have a question back on your data point for a minute. So like, called out 11 successful transitions, we've had 31. So what goes on with those other 20 tier? What's taking place with those? Are they still in the program? Or are they counted on their own, or what is that number, that other 20?
No, that's a good question. What exactly are we determining success with our criteria?
Success is that they transition from our home, one of our homes, into some more long-term sustainable housing. And because the men are staying a little bit longer, they don't come in with a set time frame. There's some that know that maybe they're gonna, be off paper here or probation within a certain set number of months. But others are here basically as long as they're making progress in the program and they're finding jobs and they're saving their money, able to really start planning for their future, that they might have the benefit to stay a little bit longer.
So I think that's a good question too, because what we wouldn't include in this data point, which would be a success, we've got times where men are coming into the homes and we know they're going to transition in maybe into a treatment or something of that nature. And it's actually successful because that's what we create. I mean, that's what they designed to do. We just often, when we're presenting this data point, it's having been there for 6 months and transitioned into next phase housing. And so certainly we can unpack that better. I know that we got another presentation in July, and I think so often, to my fault, I assume everyone knows, because we've been around so long, I assume everyone kind of knows some of these things, and I should have articulated that better.
Well, and I forget what group it was just today. I'm just trying to remember, and I know we can't always track this, and this isn't just you, it's most any program that we do around the table. It's like, okay, or a partner deals with a person or family or whatever, for 6 months, 2 months, a year, whatever, doesn't matter. What happens out here? 2 to 10 to 20, which I know we can't always track that, but the whole idea is, it's helpful, at least for me, to know that path of transformation, because we want to break these trajectories. We want to break these cycles. We want to change we want to help because they have to want it, the trajectory. But for whatever we can do in our partners, working with different partners, is how do we break those cycles, break those chains? And in an ideal world, yes, I would love to know. We track recidivism on different things because we sort of can a little bit better. But yeah, like when they're coming through this, what does that next step? Cause I don't always know. I don't always know what that next step, and it's different for every person.
I think your team, speaking specifically of corrections, and Molly could probably speak into this, well, I know she can. Tracks some of that longer term stuff, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at, new offenses and things of that nature. And when we present together, I know those numbers are extremely low, even to the point that, when we had an outside auditor, they're like, you gotta double check this, and I think they did, right?
Yeah, that's right. And you all have seen that
Yeah.
presentation as well. It is there's two tracks, if you remember. So that's what he's getting at in semantics on, like, kind of their definition from a traditional program, and the secondary track, which is a lot of times it is meant to be a bridge, which is still successful, even if it's not like they rent their own apartment now, it's still they landed in the spot intended. And that's good. That's good for case planning and for the individuals here. And there is gonna be at least, because we're full, there's gonna be at least 8 of those 20 that are still in the program right now as we speak. So there's a few things going on there, but we will have all of that and more for you in July.
Yeah, Molly, I mean, because this, if you were just people out there listening or watching would think, oh, only 11, we're not even 50, but I know the number is better than that.
Yeah.
And so maybe if there's 8 still in it as part of that 31, and 10 of them you transitioned into a different program because that was the right path for them, and we just had them for a short period of time, or somehow we need to show that, I think, when we talk about this.
Absolutely.
Because Molly, was it that last presentation you were talking about where like, oh, X number got driver's license and the other, yeah, X number got employment and.
Correct. And we'll have all that updated for you in July, even from it won't be the compared to a control group, because we won't do another like full evaluation, but we'll at least be able to update those numbers, and we still can pull recidivism and stuff too, so. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing that came to mind, it's like, okay, a captive audience is a good audience for both men and women. If you want to do the the Destiny Dads or Moms, jail numbers are good.
Yes.
But I remember when you guys first rolled out Destiny Dads, I'm like, holy cow, because trying to find dad and the father wound, that's a real thing. You want to talk about transformation? And having fathers and sons reconcile with. Like, dudes are dumb. I am one, so I can say it, like, healing that father wound within those multi-generations is huge, but when you're trying to get dads, trying to get guys in a group to be real, possible. And it happens. But it takes.
So one thing I might say, is one thing we're proud of, I think it's kind of the beauty and beast for us, is so many of our staff, I think it's 90% have lived experience.
Yeah.
So what this means is they've either been incarcerated, have had challenges with substance use, or what have you.
Yep.
And a beauty is when you come in a setting where there's a support group like that, dads can sniff that out pretty quick, whether you're legit or not. And I don't care if you're male or female, so many of us are yearning for connection.
Yeah.
And if I can trust the space, that's why you go back to indigenous communities and what have you. Healing circles is so common. In fact, as an organization, we've actually started a division or department called Transformational Justice. And one of the whole heartbeats of it is how do we train for healing circles, right? Because ACEs was built off the average white American man. And so all of us are so deeply broken. And so when you get that sort of setting, at first, I think I've shared before, and I won't do what you told me not. I won't talk too long. But she didn't say it that way. But there was a guy, not here, at another jail, Jimmy Johnson. He allows me to use his name. I get in the group. I get in the room. It's a fathers group, and there was a guy that I know was a gangster disciple. Jimmy was of some biker club and had a swastika on his neck. And there were a couple other guys. It's gonna be fun. And so at first, the affect is tough. And some of you heard the story before. And then I asked the question. So the obvious answer is everybody. How many of you have a dad here? Probably a few. Of course I got a dad. But I said, well, let me tell you about my dad. He's my Superman. Yeah. I said, my dad as a kiddo, was an entrepreneur by day and by night. Wouldn't have known he wasn't what you would think if you watch TV, big feathers in the hat and all that. My father was one of the most, and he's my Superman. He's been radically transformed. One of the most articulate men I've ever met. His expectations of me and my manhood taught me hugs and kisses and all that stuff. Built businesses. And I'm connecting with these guys. You start seeing this. And then how many of you have kiddos? Well, it's a dad's group, you would assume everyone does have kiddos, but no, some like to get out, want to get out, right? And so not everyone raised their hand, but most did. And I said, tell me about your kiddos. I said, well, I'll tell you about mine first. I said, I got 8. Some of y'all here like, dang, 8. 8. 2 that don't talk to me because I was a horrible dad that live in Phoenix. 1 that I got custody of when he was 3 and committed suicide at 19. 5 in the home for marriage. And so I shared that with them. And next thing I know, I've got credibility. And we can say race does or doesn't matter. Like, I'm not going to get caught up in that thing right now. But what I found was when you have a commonality there, and what happened there was race didn't matter like it may have in the beginning. And we got to Jimmy. I said, Jimmy, man, tell me about your child. Boy, girl. And he decided to bring up his boy. Son, what's his name? Little Jimmy. I said, man, he must be proud of you, man. So I bet you love Jimmy, huh? And you could just say, this dude was tough. Well, come to learn about Jimmy when he was 9 years old, his mom shot heroin into his veins. Think he doesn't want to talk to somebody? Why should he trust me? So we're not there yet, folks. But that's what when we talk about transformation housing, like a home really can lead to transformation. And you're right. Even if we pull our best data, it's not going to suffice for any of us. We want to see 100%. But what I share today doesn't tell the whole story. But what I can say for those that are willing to listen to us, is a qualitative point that you don't get unless you take time to hear these sort of things. We built more infrastructure. So heard earlier about our state being under scrutiny, and to me, it's overdue. You hear some of these things. We got a little ahead of some of the most recent media stuff. We created, and we have more capacity, more money, so it's easier for us. But it wasn't without sacrifice. We created a senior director of compliance, and so this person, which actually helped build some of this work and promoted to oversee this, is overseeing every grant, every contract, every penny, and making sure that it's aligning with what we say we're doing. And right, that isn't cute. People aren't like, oh, that's great, until you get the state knocking on your door. Then you're like, thank you, Damascus, for doing that. So again, I probably shouldn't say it again. I apologize that the numbers didn't tell the whole story. I look forward to next time being able to do a better job with that. I invite anyone to come see what you're supporting at any time. And I appeal for 2 things. 1, let's continue to be champions and make referrals. And the reality is we continue to need support, but not just through these contracts, but with the community as well. So thank you, commissioners. Thank you to each of you and how you support the work. It's been fabulous, and we're excited to continue to serve together.
All right, thank you, Rick. We do have to have our next presentation, but
Well, I'm just gonna say one last thing. There is a sense that good things are happening. It just, when we see people are knocking at our door, we want to be able to have answers. So
thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you want to give the introductions and go that way?
Dave Beer, County Commissioner.
Lisa Brodsky, Public Health Director.
Sydney Manabe, Deputy Clerk to the Board.
Suzanne Arnson with Health and Human Services. Good to see you.
Oh, I know, Bob.
Okay.
I know, Bob.
Hi, I'm Tanya Ward, Behavioral Health and Housing.
Oh, Brad Davis, Scott County Physical.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Katie Wallach. I work in administration.
Hello, Michael Berkshire, Community Division.
I am Tracy Surveyka, Administration.
Thank you. My name is Mohammed Ibrahim. I'm the CSC Executive Director. First of all,
We gotta keep going.
You know.
I know.
Leslie Vermillion.
Yes, Leslie, yes.
Where's that guy?
Yes, John, Dave,
All right, go ahead.
Lisa. Okay. Okay, good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be in front of the Board Commissioner. Also the other leaders in the staff founders. First, I want to thank John. He's leaving from us and he's gonna retire. So thank you for your service. The wonderful work you have done for the Scott County. I remember you know what you have done. So you're leaving from us and thank you for your service.
Thank
you. This is talking about what we have done, CRC, year 2025. We made a significant progress through our workforce program, financial literacy, training, drug abuse, cultural, specific for the East African and also other diversity community. Also FRC. These initiatives help the families access employment, education, for the prevention service and a stronger system, navigation support. So, and people, you know, in the FRC, the work we have done, people, they were feeling a sense of belonging, and also they were accessing the service they need, whether it's childcare assistance or healthcare access or any other things or disability service, anything they need. Or partnership with the Scott County and have made stronger families in our community. So people were getting equitable service in the Scott County. So our mission is that to promote positive change and connecting resources to the community, like health and education and workforce. Our vision is, you know, to remove all the barriers. So if they have a language barrier, we can get an interpreter. If there's a cultural barrier, then we give, you know, equitable service. CRC continues to serve for the East African immigrant and refugee through cultural response program. So in 2025 accomplishment or achievement, we have done a workforce program, and we had a grant from DEED. We have trained 130 people for different programs like CNA, Certified Nurse Assistance, cybersecurity, also phlebotomy. We put placement, the requirement was to put 45 people, and then we put 40 people. It's not in there, I'm reading from my mind. And also we support including resume building, interview preparation, employment and navigation, strengthened employer partnership for job placement So we have been working closely with the Atlanta and also Amazon to get people job, and also we did training for financial literacy. And so people, the youth and families, they have learned budgeting, saving, and credit building. And also we work with the CDA. So people, when they build their credit score, they can get the conventional loan, so they can make possible to be homeowners. So we support the participants in building long-term economic stability, strengthen entrepreneurship readiness and workforce retention outcomes. The other one is we are working recently is a drug abuse cultural specific training with the Scott County Public Health. Every workshop we have like 15 to 20 people learning, how to prevent, or people aware, the challenges for the drugs and also how to seek the treatment, and also how to normalize, if they are addicted, or there's always help and support, and they are not alone. And also they are learning, the different types. We were focusing on the cannabis, even though it's legal in Minnesota, but it's not something good, so they have to stay away. So I wanted to say FRC work. FRC is a very, very, very important thing. And also it created, sense of belonging. People were connecting any service they need. They were getting from the FRC. We provided cultural navigation and multilingual support for families, increased referrals for housing workforce services and public assistance, improved trust and access between immigrant families and county system. So people were afraid, so they get a smaller place. So the people they know, and if they have questions or if they need a privacy, everything, it's better than, going to the county, so they were connected with the service they need. The outcomes, increase in workforce participation when they come. We were helping the resume, also crafting the cover letter, and also doing networking. The employers we have established a partnership like Amazon, shout out Amazon, Jan, Southwest Metro, and others. Improved job placement and career advancement opportunities. So if they need, so FRC was the hub. Without FRC, we couldn't have done the things, because that's the place people are coming. So when they come, they get anything they need, for example, the training we have, we advertise there. If we need space, we were getting. So without FRC, we couldn't have done, we couldn't accomplish our other services we have been doing in Scott County and other areas. And also the financial literacy, it helped people to be homeowners. There are people we connected with real estates. The financial literacy, the saving, how to save the money, the credit repair, talking the collection agencies, the arrears they had in the past. All those things, we had 15 people. We worked, to be homeowners. And we are very happy with that, and they are very happy. And this is the financial summary. So you can see, and our net asset was 12,635. In the future, for 2026, we wanted to expand the workforce development programs, and employer partnership, grow cultural specific youth prevention and family support services, and continue financial literacy, strengthen the FRC model across other counties. Some of them, they contacted me. And also we have contracted with the Carver County. And also I'm sitting the board for the Dakota County. I'm one of the committees. And also increase the navigation services, pursue sustainable operation funding. The funding is very challenging this time because of what was happening, and it's unfortunate what was happening in the Minnesota for the fraud, for the food, for the people abuse for that, and we condemn to be still the taxpayers' money, and it's not good for the faith of Islam or any religion to take what you don't belong. And so we are very transparent, and every year we put everything on the website. And also we do the compliance, and also we have compliance officer that is doing, and also Scott County, they are doing a very good job, and they are protecting the taxpayers' money, and we also doing that. So if you have any questions, you can ask me.
What you just mentioned, wasn't the last, I don't know, was it a year ago we were here? Didn't you hire somebody then, or an accountant or something, maybe that, I feel like.
We have, yes, still he is there.
Okay.
Michael,
I
yes.
can't remember that now.
Yeah, you're gonna come, yep.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah. You're gonna come, we have accountant, and our books great. Every year we report. And we are very happy, our infrastructure is good. So that's why we are getting partnership and people trusting to us when you are transparent.
well, it's a big deal. You probably heard me ask questions, we'll ask a few people, like fraud is a big deal.
Yes.
It's a big deal in the state, so you've got that compliance officer, and you said all those because you've got your financial summary here, which is, pretty, I don't know, basic, but is all of that's all on your website?
I haven't posted, but I will post. But yeah, this is what it will go. And this is what we will report to the Secretary, Attorney General Office. We report me.
Said that you had 130 people that go through the phlebotomy and cybersecurity classes.
Yep.
And 40 people, did you say 40 people have been employed or?
Yes, we place jobs.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what do you think the difference, why is there a difference there? What do you think
It's a big difference because people are employed. Also, it will bring, money in our county or our state.
Okay.
Once they employ, and also they are working what they have learned,
So what's the difference? Do people not
finish the course or?
Yes, they finished the course and get the industrial certificate.
Okay.
And also, we are not issuing the certificates, is from Dakota County Technical College.
Yeah.
And also Southwest Metro. So we give the contract there.
Yeah. So how many, people do you have working at the FRC?
FRC, we were 11 before, but now we are like 3 people because we don't have money.
In our budget on this is, where did I see that, like 30 something? Or did I miss that? I'm with that. Like, what is our?
30. Oh, I think
Yeah, I don't think it's in there because it's the actuals that are in there, but I believe it was like 33,000.
And that's basically cultural navigation.
Correct. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe we're thinking about two different things when you say 11, because we've always had one designated person at the FRC from Community Resource Center. We have to have one designated person
Yeah.
because then they're set up with the county email
Uh,
and then they have access to Salesforce. So we've only
oh,
been, I mean, that may be.
Not the FRC, not 11 people,
Yeah,
just one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the
So,
FRC,
I'm talking about
yeah,
Your organization
Yes.
had 11.
Yes.
right,
not the FRC.
right.
Sorry,
So we
I
are.
confused you.
Yeah, so there's one designated staff at the Family Resource Center that helps with cultural navigation, with translation services, helping with applications. So we typically, what we'll do is schedule the person for the hours that we're needing the cultural navigation. And then when invoices are submitted, they're submitted for the hours that they were scheduled and completed those hours.
because so I was just, because going back to that financial summary, this is some big buckets, which just leaves room for this day and age, to like, oh, I don't know, but so our perspective is much smaller than any of these, well.
It's
Smaller.
very
than them.
little.
Correct.
my budget.
Our-
Yeah.
Yeah, our
Right.
budget is the 33,000, and then for the hours that were completed in 2025, I'd have to look, but I believe it was like $20,000 that.
20,365.
Invoice.
It's in.
Yes, for those hours at the Family Resource Center where they were scheduled to attend, completed the hours.
Yeah, right there. So forget about our part of this financial summary in this annual report. Feel like that's nailed down. Our,
Our portion.
yeah, okay.
Just out of curiosity, generally, not specifically, when do ARPA funds run out?
End of year.
This shows ARPA over 2027.
No, it's the end of the year. So ARPA went through 26. It has to be done by 12/31.
Okay, so this would be, this 27.
Correct. That should not be ARPA. So, okay.
Terms.
Well, questions or comments or?
That's it.
Or questions from a different time zone?
Coming up, I can see sun, there's sun coming, sun's coming up. Finally over there.
Hotel room, the whole thing. Sun is up. All right, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your service again.
Thank you.
Well, I have a question for you. What are you gonna do when you retire?
The answer is something else.
Thank you.
I haven't, it's undefined.
You might come to the meetings just to sit and listen, probably.
Once I have the plan upgrades, that's later.
No, I know. But I mean, there's so many to do that. That might cost you. I think there's a switch. When you open that door, most of them have like a auto or.
Thank you.
Pretty sure. I guess. Like that pinball is point out, but that was like. Although some people do. What's that, like, oh, pinball, that's. Operated with free play.
Sure, you said you smelled that.
What's that?
Smell.
Oh.
Someone said.
No.
Oh, right. Oh, it hurts my head. I
think it just came out.
Oh, okay.
This is the box, this is a sign up bump, dude.
Must be.
Some of this,
I might be here. I would have no idea. It's like Vegas. We don't have windows.
you do have video.
But we do have a clock.
We do have drinks though to like to
Large
craft
older sex.
Nice to make sure.
There's, he's got more grace than that probably.
The DC on.
That's close, yeah. Toss up, right?
Suzanne, what?
Oh, man. Have you seen that one?
Levy?
Look at this one, dude.
I said I was gonna show anybody I just said.
Let's see.
Well, he didn't send it though. That's
Yes.
awesome.
That's
That's
awesome.
right.
Yeah.
We'll have
That
that
is
preliminary
awesome.
conversation tomorrow and.
Yeah.
You have got to show that.
It's like St. David's is.
You want me to send that to you?
That almost looks like you did already.
Oh, I did. Oh, that's right.
You need to send that to Mike.
Looks like a little actual suit. Oh, yeah, I like that. That, you gotta send that across the.
Hey, big season, I'll take it.
So far, it's just like this way forward. Okay, and now, so I'll go backwards. Okay.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
It's not our budget.
Just wanted to make sure I wasn't recording.
Yeah.
Hey, we can start up, right?
Why don't you start, and we'll go this way. Lloyd Irvine, resident.
Katie Malka, I work in administration for Scott County.
Michael Bergstrom, community engagement.
I am Tracy Cervenka from administration.
And I'm Julie Shortall from St. David's in Pollock.
I'm Wolf Commissioner.
Jody Brennan, Commissioner.
John Lord, Commissioner.
Dave Beer Commissioner.
Lisa Brodsky, Public Health Director. Thinking for Children's Services. Cindy Manabe, Deputy Clerk to the Board. Suzanne Artson, good to see you both.
A part about Health and Human Services.
Leslie Vermillion, administration.
And we got one tired, commissioner online.
Hello, Barb Weckman Brecky, Scott County Commissioner.
All right, take it away. You're our last one today.
Are we really? Okay, so
So you can go as
hopefully.
long as you want.
We'll be quick, yeah. Yeah, so thank you for this opportunity to update you on St. David's work in Scott County, and I'm the CEO, so I'll set the stage for the organization and turn it over to Paula, who has so capably led the work here that we're doing in partnership with the team from Scott County. So just to give you an overview of the organization and why we were even a big yes when we were approached to consider being in Scott County. We have, we're a 65-year-old nonprofit. Our name comes from our early start. It started in a tiny little Episcopal church 65 years ago, and really very quickly outgrew sort of that relationship and became our own organization and really are a leader in child and family development. We, the biggest body of our work, we still have a small early childhood center, but the biggest body of our work is this area of early intervention and treatment. So think about the work where we're really addressing the needs, the developmental needs of children and families. And our primary population is early childhood and elementary years. And so this continuum just gives you a picture of what that early intervention and treatment work looks like. So 7,600 children and parents are served by St. David's across Hennepin County and in Scott County. And we do so through this range of services that are aimed at addressing the needs of kids as early as possible, knowing that the earlier we address developmental or behavioral health needs or needs that are the result of early trauma, the earlier we address them in their brain development, the better the outcomes. And so we think about our work as both preventative intervention. So when families come into our work with a set of circumstances that make them at risk for poor outcomes for kids, that's on the preventative side. And we have a whole range of in-home services, parent-child in-home services. And I circled it here because that's what this past work is. That's the work we're squarely in with you in Scott County. But we also have a range of services for kids who have a diagnosable need. So we have an assessment clinic, we have pediatric mental health and OT and speech. We have some mental health services in other school districts in Hennepin, and a set of intensive therapeutic programs for those kids who are struggling the most. Because we don't have a big physical presence in Scott County, we have a home visiting presence. We aren't doing some of that work here, but Paula will tell you about an opportunity. We may have to expand that in the next year if we get a grant from the state. So just give you a quick financial picture. St. David's is annual budget this year of $37.5 million. So you can see we're a pretty substantive size. And what you get with that is an organization that that really has good, a strong fiscal history and fiscal management, a range of ways we can bill for services and fund them. And I think instead of staying here for long, I'll just bring to life our home visiting, the piece of work in that budget that's home visiting. So we have $2.2 million of contracts with Hennepin County, the City of Minneapolis, Minnesota Department of Health, and with Scott County. And that, it's just this range of parent-child home visiting programs where we're working with families anywhere from, a 6-month to 12-month period to 4 years, depending on the program that they qualify for. And I think I'll use this opportunity to turn it over to Paula and have her highlight those 4 programs a little bit before she gets on to the Scott County work. Where am I? To the right. Okay.
Thank you. So you can see our sensitive parenting support program is what Julie highlighted a little bit that we're hoping to bring to Scott County, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But we do have a long-standing experience in this home visiting realm doing evidence-based work. We did have a very short stint doing some parents as teachers with Lisa and her team as well. And then, as Julie said, our main work here is the Scott County PASS program. So I'm going to talk about that today. And just to ground you again in what we have been doing. So our work in the PASS program is really that diversion and prevention of ed neglect. Diversion being when a family meets the legal threshold of 7 unexcused absences or more. And then prevention is identifying the families that are at risk of meeting that threshold and trying to get in there as early as we can to prevent them being reported to child protection or being an educational neglect issue. And then more recently this year, we just added a 15-day drop. We've been asked to do that. So we're holding some cases where families have missed or a child has missed 15 consecutive days and they're now dropped from the school district. And so we're attempting to connect with those families to see if we can find out why they're no longer in services and hopefully get them reconnected, or at least let the school district know if they've moved out of district, out of state, if they're currently homeschooling. So that's the body of the work that we're doing in the PASS program.
Is there an advantage to the school? I mean, let's say there's, somebody that's absent 15 consecutive days or more. Is there an advantage for the school to drop them versus carrying them on their?
I don't know if it's advantage. I believe it's a legal requirement. They have to. So, although we do get some, I will say we get some that have even more than that. But if you think about a family that maybe misses 14 and the child comes, and then they could miss 10 more and the child comes back, it's got to be that consecutive. So sometimes we're getting families where they have like 40 unexcused absences by the time we get them. And we're trying to serve them and figure out they haven't been dropped yet because they haven't been consecutive, but there's certainly a need for some additional services and support there.
Yeah, it is a legal requirement once kids have the 15 consecutive that schools have to drop them from their enrollments. So then that sort of triggers the potential report to the agency and our partnership with St. David's to try to track down, make sure essentially we're not losing kids.
What motivated that law for dropping?
I think it's related to, essentially their reimbursement per pupil. And so if a child is, I don't know where the 15th day, but it's connected to their reimbursement per pupil funding.
Yeah, Representative Bakeford talked heavily about this when we were working on these programs. And they don't know where the student is, they can't be asking for funding, and they could have moved on to a different district and that funding. So they're required by law to do it.
Every day.
Great question. So here you'll see a brief overview of our past referrals year over year. It's a little hard to see the numbers specifically, but hopefully you can see we have been doing this work in the diversion and prevention work for 4 school years. This is our 4th, the 25-26 school year is our 4th year. And you can see one of the outcomes that we're so proud of is that we continue to make progress in reducing that number of diversion referrals and increasing our number of prevention. So really getting out there and connecting with the social worker in the schools to say, hey, let's get them in early so we don't get to this point. And we know the social workers are getting so great at identifying families that have need, really significant attendance needs, but maybe they know something significant is happening in their family and they're starting to anticipate, okay, they've missed a few days and we know because they've experienced this hard thing that we could see more missed days. Can you get in there and provide some support? So we're really trying to identify that as early as possible so that we don't meet that threshold, and having a lot of success doing that. So I'm really excited about that outcome. What you don't see here is that we do have a rollover from previous years. It's not included. So if you look at the green, which was last year, that was a big year for referrals, and we got a large majority of those referrals in March, April, May. The social workers, I think, get a little bit of a push to make sure that they're referring any families that are meeting those thresholds or are close. And so it gives us an opportunity to serve them through the summer and support the family in kind of those family parent skills, getting their child ready so they can start out the next school year really well. So we do have a significant amount of families that roll over then and we hold during the summer that start with us in the new year, and they're not counted in this graphic discount. Thanks.
So then Paula, just so I'm clear, so then you'd pick those kids up next year for reporting?
We report them. We report them in the outcomes, but not in the new referrals. We keep that new referrals per year as a separate.
But the outcomes, they get reflected.
Correct. And you'll see that here. A lot of what we have here, this isn't our everyone referred because some of the families haven't been with us enough to gauge improvement yet. But what you do see here is the families that we have had enough time with, where we're experiencing attendance improvement. The good news here is that 80% of the families that we have been able to connect with and have enough time are having moderate to significant improvement in attendance. We have no changes about 11%, and that's number-wise, that's 5 families, and 4 out of the 5 needed to be returned to child protection because we were either unable to contact them or made very little or no progress within a few weeks to a month time. So referred back to child protection for additional services. And then the other outcome here that you see, we measure, part of our goal in this program is, as I said, that work with families to think about parenting skills and increasing that parental capacity. So we look at increasing a family's protective factors, measuring parental resilience, social connections, concrete support, and social emotional competence of children. And we're seeing some really nice results here. More than 50% increase for all of those outcomes. Really great outcomes in parental resilience, which is helping that parent think about how hard parenting is and how they can overcome some of those barriers and challenges and stay in there with their child. So excited about that. And then again, the social emotional one is really the understanding. How well do they understand their social emotional needs of their child and address those?
This is our last slide. So plans and priorities for 2026. I'll start with the expand parent-child home visiting in Scott County. Hot off the press news, we did receive a grant expansion from Minnesota Department of Health for expanding our sensitive parenting support program, which will allow us to do a targeted home visiting program that works with caregivers who have significant mental health concerns and are parenting very young children. And we use an intervention called attachment biobehavioral catch-up, or ABC. It's a 9-month to a year program. It's behavioral. It uses an attachment lens and it's behavioral. We have done a little bit of that here in Scott County, but we've never had the funding capacity to dedicate an amount of FTE to that. And now we'll be dedicating, we can serve at any given time 3 to 4 families for Scott County for that program. So we're really excited about that. And that funding will start in July. So we'll start hiring them and imagine we'll start training someone in the fall. So by the end of the year, we hope, or fall, we hope to get someone going with that program. And then we also did apply for the FFPSA grant. As you probably know, no one's heard yet about that. So we're waiting to hear if, and part of that proposal was to expand home visiting in Scott County as well with a child welfare focus. So a little bit different than public health, but thinking about families that are receiving, have been referred through child protection. So those are the 2 things that we were looking at expanding, and we'll hopefully hear more from the FFPSA grant. And then we hope to continue our work here in the past program into summer and into the next school year. Questions?
So the expanded parent-child home visiting, the ABC work is through a different grant, and you've still got the FFPSA grant. We can chat after. I'll give you the update that I know.
Okay. Oh, you do know something. Okay. So,
And
yes.
then we'll be talking about this at one of the upcoming Scott Delivers as well, right? I forget which month.
Correct. I was gonna talk with you after. It's gonna be June 16th.
You get it.
So with the news stories recently was the ICE activity, did you see an increase in the need for your services for that? It's because kids were staying.
Great question. It's a yes and no. What we were hearing from a lot of the social workers is they weren't making referrals because they didn't want to report families who were not showing up that were from those communities. We did find that the families that we were already working with in those communities needed more intensive help at that time. We were able to do through St. David's, we had remind me the rapid response where we were able to provide some nutrition support and basic needs support for families. But we did try to encourage social workers to even refer those families. Sorry, I thought I turned it off. It'll shut up in a second. Sorry. My husband, he's gonna get it. So yes, we did see for the families that we were already engaged with, it was challenging to engage in new families during that time because I feel like families were in a pretty protective place and not wanting to let new providers in. But as soon as things started to ease up a little bit in the last month, in March, April, we started to get more referrals again for that culture, those cultural communities.
Yeah, I had watched the numbers, was trying to watch the numbers that we could get. It didn't look like there was any real peak during that time, so I was just hoping.
Afterwards, April was big for us. They came flooding in April, and I think that was kind of the backlog that we were seeing, so.
Yeah, I need to jump in on this because I feel like St. David is one of those things that I have a good feeling about, but I just haven't quite been involved with, or for whatever reason, after that news. But you think you're moving the needle. You're a big org. It's interesting. The 2 biggest orgs are probably need to jump in the most. 360 is another one that hear a lot about. talk a lot about.
St. David's has been working with us,
Oh, I know.
you know, for years
Yeah.
now. So this was the big decision for prevention
Yep.
for and neglect and getting them out of the child protection world, right?
Yep.
And so,
Any questions you have or thoughts, wonderings about? Yeah. Give us a call. We're
Yeah.
happy to talk it through, yeah.
Just, understand more.
We've really appreciated being part of your Scott County team. The team is great here. We feel really, feels like a strong partnership and at times have thought of starting a physical presence here and right now we've launched a downtown site. So, so our hands are full with a big capital campaign to get that off the ground, but just, we know our sweet spot. We don't try to be everything to everybody. And so our sweet spot is in this, you know, parent-child work and the birth to, you know, young elementary work. So, so we're just in the future happy to talk about any expansion that fits where we best serve.
Round peg in a round hole is always a good thing.
thank you so very much.
Yeah, you.
Can you call the husband?
Yes.
What do you want? What do you, what's it all about?
Are you working? With the question.
Thank you.
Reporting.
Right.